right. It's time for the Dog and Chicken Show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Dog and Chicken Show, the awesome show, the fun show, the greatest time in the world. And tonight, it's politics as usual, but doing it with my best pals here. We got Tony and Phil with us. Tony, how you doing, brother?
Never better, guys. Never fucking better.
And Phil, who needs no introduction.
Delightful as always. This is one of those days that Tony woke up and went, I'm going to start the day with a smile just so I can say I got it over with. So thanks for gracing us with your presence, Tony G. But as you said, Chicken, I am the man who needs no introduction himself. Your King of Extreme, Phil KOE, here to grace the Dog and Chicken Show with the presence of its main star. And we are here with quite the subject matter this evening. This is one that kind of led to the impetus to quite a few discussions and a lot of very deep talks between all of us, in which at the end, all of you were like, Phil, you are so amazingly right. You are just righteous and justified in your opinion. We are so sorry that we ever decided to cross your opinion, and we just bow to you, sir. And so it was a very productive.
Right in the conservative sense, not right in the correct sense.
Oh, okay.
Just to clarify.
No, both.
No.
You were half right. I just meant right in all possible senses. So, but gentlemen, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, please like, share, subscribe, and gentlemen, let's get into this evening's festivities. Chicken, take it away.
So, for those of you who may not know what the political compass test is, it's a 4-quadrant kind of placement, and it kind of helps you label yourself, whether you're a liberal or a conservative or a authoritarian, or if you are a libertarian. And it kind of, it's got some hard-hitting, tough questions to ask that really it's designed to create emotional response. And so for those that like to tiptoe in the middle, this is a tough one to take, because you got to decide on something. You either agree or disagree with all of these questions, which is kind of what I like. And hopefully everybody saw that little push there, but this shall be fairly entertaining. So this will be kind of long, because we're going to discuss not only the test, but we'll probably end up getting into some debate and arguing a little bit. Before we get into it, though, want to make sure crowd participation, audience participation. We do have a drinking game tonight. Trump, Biden, protest, riot, or if Tony's children happen to interrupt the show like they typically do. Let's go around. I started off tonight with a Crown and Coke Zero just to prime up, and I'll switch to some scotch a little later. What do you got, T?
I am cracking into Oban 14, a wonderful single malt scotch, courtesy of one Mr. Marty Seward. Good shout out. Great guy. Look him up here in town for all your needs, insurance-wise. And it is a wonderful scotch. Phil can attest to that.
There's our first drink.
Yes, it's one of the personal favorites of the KOE Nation. But yes, there's our first drink.
Bernie's here.
14 years, my personal favorite.
They don't have a 15, eh?
I don't know if they do. We'll have to look into it, Tony. These are questions that we'll have to get answered for the KOE Nation, for the RWP Nation, for everybody here at Big Buck and Entertainment. Now, Chicken, he loves it when I mix drinks on camera. It's his favorite thing. He looks it up on YouTube more than top 10 lists. It's his. He loves it. Yep.
That's fair. That's fair.
So this one has like 6 ingredients. It's like 4 different fruit juices, but it's also got bamboo rum, which is Jeremy Kunert, his recommendation, good stuff. And also that Blue Swift Martell cognac finished in a bourbon barrel. So it's all over the place in here, and I'm enjoying it. So that's what I'm drinking tonight because I just want something to wet my whistle while we discuss this topic.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm interested because this is something that we all kind of did here over the last week. We were all kind of discussing the nuances of finding out what you are, where you stand politically. Hey, motherfucker! Cheers. But
Cheers.
yeah, it's so interesting because some people don't know really where they lie politically, and they take tests like these and questionnaires to kind of answer that age-old question of where do I stand? Because it's not as easy for everybody. Like most of us here on the show, we have a fairly good idea, but some people need a little bit of guidance in the right direction to really stamp their foot and plant their flag, politically speaking. And true to form, the political compass test is an age-old one. It's one I've taken probably a handful of times before in the past, and I hadn't for several years. And actually, this time around, I got to say, my result was a little more where I wanted it to be, a little further left than I wanted, but pretty close to middle though.
Same here, Tony. My result was a little too far to the left for my liking, but
one quadrant off of far. It was almost off the.
I'm slipping, motherfucker! I'm slipping. Yeah, I was a little get. Now we'll see. Here's the other fascinating thing. Here's the other fascinating thing. I wonder if, in our discussions on these topics, will anybody actually move? That's the more fascinating part, is when we're together and we're actually discussing the topics amongst ourselves, because we are in the era where nobody wants to compromise, nobody wants to concede shit, nobody wants to give an inch of ground, and I'm just curious if our quadrants move at all. So,
well, first and foremost, though, the thing about these questionnaires and tests is you've got to understand that the questions are worded to benefit people in different ways. It's pretty black and white for some people, but for me, in a few of the areas, it's like I could go either way with it. They leave it fairly. There's no middle ground way to answer. You either agree, disagree, strongly agree, or strongly disagree. There's no maybe. There's no middle in between. So for me, it takes a lot of effort to get that dot right there.
Really.
Yeah.
You're telling me Mr. Moderate Tony G is having a hard time not, there's no middle answer? Oh, damn it. Like, no. So I understand that.
Didn't need to be, and I still landed in the fucking middle. So, hey.
You did. You damn near bullseyed that thing. I think we're getting you close. So we'll see what happens. So that one shocked me. It's like, damn, dude. Like, I figured you were going to be off in some direction that, like, shocked us a little bit. No, you damn near, like, it's a political compass test, Tony. It's not like archery where you're trying to get a bullseye. Damn. But yeah, I liked you're a little far left for your tastes. Me too. But Chicken, how about you, sir?
I landed almost to the T where I did last time I took it back in October. I posted on Facebook and say a whole bunch of people had posted where they landed with it. So I'm like 4 lines down, which is towards the libertarian side, and like a couple lines to the right. I always say I'm pretty down the middle most of the time. So I'm still pretty down the middle, but I have libertarian leanings. And Phil, when I told you I dropped 1 towards libertarian and 1 to conservative, Phil's like, I'm rubbing off on him. Like,
I'm getting you there.
But
piece
Phil,
by piece.
You moved a little bit to the left, so I would say Tony might have rubbed off on you.
There is that. Now, with my score, in case you're wondering, if you know
you ended up on the left.
The political compass test, basically Milton Friedman is right here, and I'm right there. So I'm one step to the right of Milton Friedman, but I'm on the economic libertarian side of the right. So
Fair.
that was how. Now, I suspect in our discussions, I might move one, maybe even two quadrants to the left, fellas. I don't know. I mean, there's not really a lot more room to move right in this thing. So we'll see how this works out. But I've always wondered, like, I've had people in my life take this test and like they'll end up being an authoritarian left winger. It's actually shockingly, it's interesting to watch how this one formulates. So, guys, all right,
let's get into it.
That being said, let's get into this shit.
Real quick,
I'll tick this fucker up.
Gotta pimp out a couple things real quick. Check us out, Big Buckin' Entertainment on Facebook. Make sure you check out Dog and Chicken Show on YouTube, KOE Nation on YouTube, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, and then the locals thing. So I've pimped it out a few times. Some folks have started to join. Good news. You can actually download Locals app from Google Play. You don't have to do the Reuben report shit anymore. You can actually just download the app. It's like a little Facebook app. And you sign up to Dog and Chicken Show on there, which I actually think I changed it to Big Buckin' Entertainment. So it's all meshed together and makes sense now. So, and then so you can chat directly with us, join our little echo chamber, and share the memes that you can't share with your friends. It'd be a good time.
So you mean to tell me, Chicken, that you now have an app that gives people a streamlined communication with all of their favorite Big Buckin' Entertainment stars?
Absolutely. And not only that, but probably some of that dirtier, more exclusive content will be directly available on that app. So,
and it's going to feature the stuff that's
downloading it right now.
You mean it's going to feature the stuff that's too hot for YouTube? My God.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally costing yourself money not downloading this app. So what's the name of that app again, Chicken?
It is Locals. Locals. You should be able to find it. If not, I will post the link to the app in the comment section before the end of the show here so you can jump in. But in the meantime, you just got to stick around and watch. Let's get into the show and what we're looking at here. Got it pulled up. So let's do a little reading before we get started on here. Before taking the test, please note that this isn't a survey and these aren't questions. They're propositions. To question the logic of individual ones that irritate you is to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme. Some are moderate. That's how we can show you whether you lean towards extremism, moderation on the compass. Your responses should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. We're going to break all those rules tonight, and we're going to give you some details on policy and why we're picking what we're picking.
I was about to say, you're talking to the king of overthinking here. Like that rule will be broken this evening.
Before we get too deep into it, I do want to ask each of you, because we all three took it this week just prior to the show, just so we kind of knew where we landed. How many times did you click something and go, you know what? No. And then you changed it?
Nothing before. If I changed maybe 2 or 3 before I really changed something, but I didn't move on to the next page without.
Phil, how many? Did you just do heart-wrenching? Oh, no, I know what this is.
No. Like Tony said, is maybe 2 or 3. And like there were some questions that I had to stop and consider for a moment.
And reread maybe, and
yeah, just kind of let me think that one through. But none that I was like, I agree, now I disagree. So if that's going to happen, it's going to happen here with us in the power of our rhetoric. And I'm curious if that can actually be done tonight, even once. So we will see. We shall see. So, Chicken, Captain of this Starship Enterprise, take us away, sir.
let's get started. Phil, Tony, make sure you're taking this on your own there.
All
That way
right.
at the end, you can send me screenshots of your results. We'll discuss our answers, of course, but I'll be taking this live on here. So let's go. Question 1.
Politicalcompasstest.org. Double check. Correct for everybody
Yes. Political
watching
Compass.
at home.
It's politicalcompass.org/test. But if you just do
/test.
if you do politicalcompass.org, it'll bring up the test. You're fine.
There we go, folks.
Yeah.
So here we go. First question. Now, this is a proposition, remember. Like, this is meant to, you have to just like imagine this is going on, because it starts off pretty diabolical, shall I say.
Yeah.
If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. So I
Okay.
agree. I don't strongly agree, because there's going to be, there's going to be exceptions to that rule.
There you go.
But
Couldn't
to
have said
me-
it better myself.
But to me, serve humanity, because that can be global. That doesn't, I mean, yeah, it sounds like it's centered, but if it's economic globalization is already there, then yeah, it should be for the rights of the people. It sounds more, to me, I don't know, maybe tugs at the heartstrings a little bit.
No, I agree. 100%. Humanity.
Oh,
I didn't
boy.
go with strongly either, though.
I went with strongly disagree, and this is why. First of all, it's not a given that globalization is inevitable. That's not a given, especially given our recent events. And there is no reason it can't serve humanity and transnational corporations, as if those two interests are completely mutually exclusive. When the multinational corporation Microsoft came into being and brought the computer processor into everyone's home, the advancement of their interests was the advancement of humanity's interests in the same. I know that's kind of a controversial statement to some, but the idea of now every household has a computer processor in it was revolutionary. So to me, I strongly disagree with that, because there's no reason it can't serve both if this globalization is inevitable, which I don't agree it is. So that's why I strongly disagree with that statement.
So you failed to agree with the proposition to begin with. That's why you strongly disagree?
I disagree with the first, middle, and end of it. So yeah, there's
you go.
like, I might agree with the is, the it's, and the thes in that. Other than that, like, no.
So cheers,
So
folks. This is what Tony and I deal with in our little group chat every day. This is fantastic.
No, Tony needs another cheers.
Oh, sorry.
Don't leave.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and
Okay.
people call me contrarian.
Oh, let's see. Then, yeah, right. So I'd always support my country, whether it was right or it's wrong. This is one of those first ones that I remember, like, stopping for a second, because I believe personally that yes, there's a certain form of patriotism. There's certain parts of your country you have to stand up for. But like, what degree of right or wrong are we talking? Are we talking like, Nazi Germany mass genocide?
Exactly.
Yeah, I should probably stand up against at that point, and that's the little rebellion dickhead in me. So I put disagree. I didn't strongly, but I put disagree, because countries do some shitty things sometimes, and you got to fight the power sometimes.
Yeah. I also picked just simply disagree, because it's easy to not agree with some of the things that your country does, but not get so upset about it that I'm going to move to Canada if so-and-so's elected, or if we do this overseas, because
Who are you talking about?
rabble. You don't have to agree with it to enjoy living here. So yeah, just simple disagree. Being proud of your country 110%, regardless of what they do. Like you said, we can get to some pretty dark territory, just being blindly supportive. So yeah, just a simple disagree.
And
that was a
because
tough
we
one
can,
for me because like I support the Constitution probably more than I do the country and the government.
True.
Like, and that's where I had the tear between the two. Sorry, go ahead, Phil.
no, it's okay. Tony, it's not like anybody's here to listen to the main star of the show or anything, but you go ahead. But no, Tony, actually, in agreement with what you're saying, because people falling in lockstep with the institution of the state can lead to some really dark places. I put strongly disagree. If your country is, failing basic morality tests, then it is the responsibility of every citizen of that country to try to do everything they can to alter its course into a better and into a government that better serves everybody under it. So I strongly disagree with the notion that you should always support your country, whether it's right or wrong. For just like you said, it can lead to some very, very dark places.
Okay. Next one.
So, but before we move, was I able to persuade either of you to consider to go to strongly disagree?
No.
Nah, I'm gonna stick with disagree.
All right, fair enough.
Next
one, sir.
No one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Phil, if you start.
I went strongly disagree with this one again because you can be proud of where you're from and where you were born, regardless of it's just silly. Like
it's worded
regardless
weird.
Regardless of your choice, you can be proud. Regardless if you had no choice or you had a choice in some, like if we're going to make some strange hypothetical scenario where somebody had a choice, it would still be completely irrelevant to whether you are proud of your country or not. It is completely possible to be proud of it, and there's nothing foolish about that. So I strongly disagree.
Okay,
I actually also chose strongly disagree because if you're, again, this goes back to the last one. If you're so uncomfortable with your country of birth and they make such terrible decisions, you absolutely have the freedom to leave that country, and your birthright has no significance at that point. If you're so upset with your country that you physically move location, it really has nothing to do with where you were born at that point. But at the same time, if you're born into a country and you get used to those customs and you identify with those customs, it's fine to be proud of it to an extent. But again, blindly being proud for no good reason other than the fact, well, I was born here, so I'm going to do it and be proud of it, and I'm going to wave 10 flags instead of the standard one. So I strongly disagree.
In comparing the two previous questions, I think we're trying to just draw the distinction between being obedient and being proud. Because the previous question is basically saying, are you going to be obedient to your country no matter what? Absolutely not. Are you going to be proud of your country despite your lack of choice in the matter? Absolutely. And that's, I would say that is, if we're gauging emotions, that's and Chicken, if I can take first to the next one, but your analysis, sir.
So mine, so first off, it is a cultural thing at a certain point too, where you're born and raised and where you come from, and to not be proud of that. And then to call somebody a fool, either way, like anytime there's name calling and a fool, somebody who calls somebody's a fool is a fool almost every time. So that one, that was my emotional response to it, and right away I'm like, oh, piss off. That's like, there's very few people that I've ever met that was not saying this is where I'm from. Some people are proud of it, and some people are like, hey, here's where I'm from. I hate where I'm from, but I like what I do now. But like, it just, to me, just the wording of it made me hate it right away. But no, I agree with both of you on a lot of the sentiment there. I did strongly disagree as well. Let's move on to the next one. Phil, you're taking the lead on this one. I'll read it to you. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races.
I put strongly disagree because as anybody that reads basic Freud, Nietzsche, or any of the great philosophers, you eventually come to the conclusion that, as I've said in other podcasts here, guys, within every human has the capacity to be an angel or a demon. So within every one of us, within the best angels among us, has the capacity to be a demon. Within the worst demons among us, has the capacity to have that one little glint within them to be an angel. So there is no superiority. It's, a vast tapestry. So I would strongly disagree with that statement.
Tony?
I actually picked agree, and I will try to defend that response without making it ridiculous. I look at the wording of this question, and I assume we're talking the American race, because if you put it in that perspective, the American race pretty obviously does have many superior qualities to third world countries and places in dire need of assistance and help. I think you do absolutely see many, many benefits to being born here, to living in America. Hell, that's why people are trying to come here illegally. So obviously there are things here that other people want. I think I'm just going with agree. I think that feels like a more honest answer.
I took it more of today's political standards of race, and I would strongly disagree. I don't think any race is superior to any other race. I think humanity is superior to a lot of other things in the world, but I stand firm on the whole race thing. But I see where Tony's stance was. I get that. Makes sense. It depends on how you define it, right?
I'm defining it as far as advantages, not as in terms of being superior. I'm talking just advantages you get as a result.
You're not thinking a white black thing. You're thinking our
no.
Culture,
I don't think it has to be a color thing.
Okay, fair.
Well, I understand, but words and definitions do have meaning, and I understand what you're saying there, but it is also kind of playing fast and loose with definitions. So if you'd give me a volley, sir, I would say what you're referring to is culture. Cultures. Is it possible for a culture to be superior? But that's really not the question. So, but I understand your take on it. But I would say that what you're talking about is the cultural lens, not the racial lens. So I'm wondering if that does that persuade you to maybe change your answer at all?
No, because even if you want to go by a state-by-state analysis within the country, you can look at different cultures. You can look at different areas of the country within itself, and
so
what different cultures have benefits.
What Phil's what Phil was trying to say and attempting to correct you on, I think, I don't want to put words into Phil's mouth here, but he was trying to probably lean towards my definition of it, of this was more of ethnicity and actual racial type question.
Okay, and even if we want to play the race card solely, if you want to look at it as an entirely separate thing on a race card, look at the race unrest right now in the country. The whole movement is based solely off the fact that they think that there are advantages to being white versus being black right now, and that's kind of where the movement came from. So if you want to go down that rabbit hole, it's a completely different argument. But
sure.
I'm going to stick with it on mine because I'm looking at it on a broader scale, not just race. Because if we are supposedly all created equally, I'm looking at it as an American race thing, not a color thing.
Fair enough.
And one
Tony
last question
by his response.
Before we move on, Tony, are you resisting changing any answers because Phil KOE is a giant asshole?
No, that's set in stone.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's clear. That's been cleared up long ago.
All right. So I'm going to see if I can still persuade him yet this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe.
And you too, chicken.
Good luck with that. The next one is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I strongly disagreed with that one because I don't play these platitudes in these dumbass games. I don't think I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I just was like, nope, sounds stupid, disagree, and I moved on.
Yeah, I picked disagree. I didn't go strongly because if this is a political compass test. So for me, this lines up with politics pretty parallel wise, and I didn't go strongly because there are times where, yeah, unfortunately, you find yourself in a sidekick situation where I don't really like this particular person, but for the time being, it works better than the alternative. It's not ideal, but I'm not going to go strongly disagree. I think a simple disagree here is more than sufficient.
Okay, Phil?
I strongly agree.
I figured.
Hey, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If it helps further your goals in life, you have to ask yourself what's more important, achieving your goals or making the consent or standing on your high laureled principles of, I did not work with the enemy of my enemy, and I get to stand here the loser with the satisfaction of being right. And so, that's how I look at enemy of my enemy is my friend if it helps you achieve your goal. That's how I look at it.
That's fine, but to what extent does that same thought process you just shared, because the other side is thinking the exact same thing that you just said. At what point does that turn on you? That's the vicious game you play with that. So I can understand with agreeing, but strongly agreeing, eventually it's going to catch up and it's going to bite you in the ass.
If that's the vicious game that they're playing against you, you better damn well be ready to play it against them. Otherwise, you've already conceded an advantage.
Oh, better be good at it. Better be better at it. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
it's not always going to be a slam dunk.
So you're talking to the absolute best number one. So I mean, of course.
You all are about to see the first change in my responses because I didn't give it any thought, and after hearing that, I'm not going to go strongly agree. I think I lean a little bit more towards Tony's thoughts of it can come back to haunt you, but I'm going to switch mine from strongly disagree to agree because, yeah, especially like politically, you think about it, especially if and now I'm not thinking of this as a person. As a person, I still strongly disagree with it, but if I'm in a political arena or running for office, I have constituents to take care of, so I have to make deals. I sometimes you got to get a little rough and dirty. That's politics. That's what you got to do. So I see it.
Same thing in business.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to make those. Boy, I sure do hate Bob over there. But if I work with Bob here, then God damn, I can make some money off this idea. So that's the concessions that we all have to make. And so now, folks, let it be pointed out that with just discussion, we were actually able to move somebody 2 clicks on one of these questions. So that does prove that in this age, despite what you may have heard, it is actually possible for people to disagree without being disagreeable. I know, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, I know. Fuck it. Fuck you. There, I had to get that out. Sorry.
Tony's like, I'm not giving Phil an inch after today's chat.
Yeah, why did we do this after we all spent the last 2 days arguing? Why are we doing that now? We should have done this
because it's gonna spill over onto the show at some point. It's gonna be glorious. So that's why. So glorious. Well, Tony, indeed. Have I moved you at all?
No, I'm going to stick with disagree because because here's why. Because that was your immediate reaction to go strongly agree and gosh damn it, I'm going to play chess better than you. And does that have to be your first instinct, or can you think of another a logical way to go about things? If that's your first go-to reaction to the situation instead of trying to find another way around it. Yeah, you're not swaying me on that one. I'm just going to.
I'm a damn good chess player, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You could play a different game entirely and get the same outcome. In fact, maybe even
pretty good at checkers. So,
Could
All right,
play
next
sorry,
one.
and you could be.
Next one. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I
Agree.
put agree. We've
Yep.
had to do it. I've supported it in the past. But there's, again, I think of Germany going Nazi and going crazy. There's times where you got to be like, whoa, 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 you're going too far here. But no, there's some times where internationally you're like, hey, like the rest of the world's a little fucked up. The only part that keeps me from strongly disagree is I don't like to put my ideology, my power, my money, and everything into the rest of the world, especially if they don't want it. That's where I teetered a little bit. I did think about this one. I was between disagree and agree. There's a lot of nuance on this one, but for a quick reaction, no. If somebody's in need of help, fucking USA's here. We'll take care of that shit. Like, so I guess that's where my thoughts come from.
No, it's a simple agree for me, and it's because international law is, I mean, it's just that we're talking about the entire world as a whole. There are going to arise situations where tough choices have to be made, and you can sit here at home behind your computer and bitch on a podcast about it, but guess what? At the end of the day, you're glad you didn't have to make that fucking decision because it probably needed to be made.
Yeah.
Now allow me to sit at home and bitch on a podcast behind my computer, Tony.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be the world's police, though. I think that's the one that scares me from answering agree on here, because there's so many things that we've gotten involved in that we probably shouldn't have. And then there's there's a lot of things that we've fixed that thank God we did. Otherwise, shit would have been.
Yeah, I think world police is the strongly agree option. That's why I'm just a small agree. Nothing more, nothing less.
All right, Phil. Sorry.
I went with a light disagree. I do believe
that's why he was
Geneva. Yeah, that was the one. Yep. Probably, but not. Well, the Geneva Convention and such, believe it or not, there are some pretty good things in there, folks. There's articles that prevent us from using radio weapons that blind everybody on the battlefield in a 20-mile radius. There's horrifying weapons that the military-industrial complex can unleash, and the dogs of war will fucking be unbridled and ready to go on the soft hides of the innocent. And there is a reason that some of these international accords are put together. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. I don't like half of it, but at the very least, if a war is in violation of the Geneva Convention, that is not justified. That's how I look at it.
Well,
so
yeah, but
that's
you're
why
talking about a very
soft
specific
decline
scenario.
Yeah, but that is basically the cornerstone of international law for interstate battle. So that's, it basically comes from there. So yes, there's a bunch of stupid things like you can't use hollow point bullets, and there's a bunch of very dumb things that are in international law when it comes to our engagements, but that is the cornerstone, and
I didn't think we
got to start somewhere.
Hollow point bullets tonight. This is great.
Well, yeah, it's the dumbest thing. They're not like
it is the
our
dumbest
soldiers
thing. You're right.
on the front line are not allowed to have hollow point fucking bullets. So it's because I was under the impression that the military's purpose is to kill people and break things.
Can you still stab somebody in the eye with a bayonet?
Actually, during World War I, there was several bayonets that were banned, and it was agreed on by both sides. So that's what I do mean by having these agreements in war. So
this is why war is stupid, folks. Oh my God, people actually.
Oh, I agree. That's also
and
kind of why
these fucking terms. You can't kill me this way. But no, this way, yep, totally fine. Totally fine. Just
cheers, folks.
That way now.
Damn it, Bernie.
That's also why, let's just be honest, guys. The other reason I put disagree is because if it's up to me and there's a vote going around of, hey, what do you think? Should we go to war? Sorry, folks, my vote's going to be pretty much no. Let's just go with no. How about we don't go to war Let's try and figure this shit out. What, there's got to be a way. You can't tell me that the only solution to this is sending lead flying in both directions. Maybe we put the guns down for a minute and try and talk it out. And so that's why I am with the disagree, because it's just general anti-war sentiment, I suppose you could say.
I'm sticking with agree, because your hand gets moved for you sometimes.
Yep.
That's
perfectly. Well, I'm talking about an aggressive act of invasion. That would be in violation of international law. Defending yourself from an aggressive act is not in any way a violation of international law. But when you commit the aggressive act of invasion, that I cannot support in any way. So that's,
I don't know. We've retaliated against.
You've even violated the Christian principle of the just war principle.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's just an argument.
Well, if you want to take it to the next state, when you commit the aggressive act of invasion, you've even violated the just war principle of Christianity, which states that you cannot commit an aggressive act of invasion. So that's why I just cannot get behind that.
It's not, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like it, but it is an inevitability at some point throughout history. It is going to happen. You can't avoid it. It is going to, at some point, be inevitable. And so I'm looking at the broad, big picture, long-term thing.
There will be aggressive acts of invasion, but the people that, when you commit an aggressive act of invasion, that is an immoral act. You have violated the principles of morality and tomfoolery. Welcome to the show this evening, sir. We're doing the political compass test because we are political masochists. Welcome to it.
So I know Tom has done his already on his own show, and he pretty much came down directly in the middle, which I found interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but I believe that's what he said on his show. So be interested to see his, Tom, if you can post yours, possibly maybe a screenshot of where you landed on there. It'd be interesting as we finish up our quiz or
first
test
page
or compass. We'll see how we do here. Let's move on to the next one. That one went longer than I thought it would. Next one. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly fucking agree to the fucking 100th.
Yeah, that's if I could pick something higher than strongly agree, I would. I mean, there's so much useless information out there readily available. There's so much harmful information out there readily available. There's so much information that shouldn't even be documented or recorded out there, readily accessible for anybody who wants to see it. And it's rapidly growing at an alarming rate every second of every day. So it's one of those situations where we get all these wonderful benefits because of information being accessible, but at the same time, you get a lot of bad baggage that comes with it. And it's there for the people that want it, unfortunately, and how they choose to use it.
And it's like propaganda at a certain point. Like, that's what I'm just like, I'm utterly disgusted with. Phil?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, hear me out here. So,
oh Jesus!
We here
you know my feelings on Don Lemon. Like,
how
many times do I have to bring up CNN?
No, chicken. Hang on. We here at Big Bucket Entertainment and the Dog and Chicken Show, KOE Nation Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, as we try to give you the best fusion of information and entertainment possible. I'm going to go with strongly disagree, sir, because our fusion
I included
of
myself in
information
that, Tom.
Yes, thank you, Tom. Thank you. And yes, this is not the only worrying thing is that you are not getting enough Phil KOE. You're not getting your daily dose of vitamin E, vitamin extreme. That's the only worrying thing, chicken. So strongly disagree, sir.
let me sway him.
Strongly disagree, huh?
Let me sway him. I think that it's pretty acceptable to include people becoming celebrities for doing nothing, the likes of like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian, based off of information and entertainment being readily available. That's not even necessarily information or entertainment. And people who do nothing become celebrities, become multi-billionaires because of it. So yeah, it's pretty fucking disgusting and alarming. And the fact that Kim Kardashian's a celebrity, I think, is reason enough to at least hit agree. Phil, come on.
Kim Kardashian was going to be famous no matter what she really did.
Oh,
that was just. Let's be frank. She did porn and got famous. Okay, she's easy on the eyes. So she's gonna get attention.
That is as far as it should have went. Being a fucking one-time porn star.
Now
that's as far as it should have went.
Phil, to your point, and even Tom calling us out, you realize that we are part of the information entertainment.
Yes.
And
the most entertaining information there is.
It is the most entertainment. It's the best entertainment that you can get. And Tom's a close second, so check out Tomfoolery as well. But
check him out, like, share, subscribe.
This has been my argument from day one, that 3 idiots in the middle of nowhere, or 3 intelligent, handsome young men as ourselves in the middle of nowhere, can create a podcast and say whatever the fuck we want and post it online. And some of these really take off. Like that's disturbing to me in a way. And it turns into propaganda at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's awesome because there's opportunity there. There's a lot of good that comes with it. But the fact that the whole complex of the media organization right now, you can't trust any of them. I trust Fox News and CNN the same amount. Not at all. Like fucking, like there's like 10 minutes of it a day that's probably factual. And like Phil said earlier, it's the thes, the is's, the as's, and the names they say. Those are the only
and a couple
facts
of ands
that come out of it. Yeah. A couple of ands.
But a few of them are lies.
That's scary. And you can probably get more facts and real information from a group like us or other independent podcasters that just read the news and use critical thinking skills and go, oh, yeah, that sounds like bullshit. It's probably bullshit. That's fucking sad. But yet they are propped up by everybody. And it disturbs me so much. And I don't know. That's where I'm not going to move from my strongly agree. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. You are fucking right, because that's the only way they can get clicks and views. That's what everything is today, is how do I get more people to watch my shit?
So click and view our channel and watch our shit, folks.
They will fucking spew any bullshit that gets clicks. And I'm not gonna lie. I do a little bit of it. look at Big Buck and Entertainment's page. I'll just record some. I'll record some clickbaity shit and post it on there to get more people to watch it. I'm part of the problem, folks. Okay, like I'm not gonna deny that, but I don't like it. I shouldn't be able to get 12,000 views on any video, being some random dude in the middle of nowhere. How can a random dude in the middle of nowhere get 12,000 views on some video of a bee killing a mouse? Like how the fuck is that allowed?
Yeah,
like I don't know. That's awesome. Weird. It's fucking awesome, but it's a weird.
Yeah, that's this kind of stuff. There's a reason the Discovery Channel is still on the air, because people are like, "Is that baboon gonna get away from that big cat?" Okay. Oh shit! Go for the tree! Like, yeah, that's.
How about the California doctors? I almost got 5,000 views on that now. The California doctors, they got like fucking like X'd by YouTube. Uploaded on fucking Facebook, and yeah, like
for wrong think.
For wrong think. But I don't know. I don't know if that type of power should be readily available, because that could easily explode. Any little 1 minute to 10-minute video I post on Facebook could explode to tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of views, which is great for us in promotion. I like that thought, but God, there's a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of
there's
fake
a
news.
bunch of kids on YouTube who are like under the age of 10 who are millionaires for doing nothing but making videos of them playing with toys. So
Yeah,
you're
fucking
in
weird.
no way is
How
anybody going
fucking-
to sway me.
Well, how fucking dare they? Oh, Jesus. Like,
That's why I said I like the opportunity. I just
There you
don't
go.
know
Good for
if it's the
them.
right thing
Good
with
for them, kids. I'm
news.
happy for you.
News
Put it
and
towards college.
information. News and information. Real information. Things to learn from. That's where. Yeah, that's the line. I don't know. Sorry.
So
we're not
basically
going to
just-
agree on this one.
No.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, we are news and information being fused, so I don't see no problem with that whatsoever. That is a marvelous development of the 21st century technology. So
I don't
moving-
like it, but I'll use it.
moving
Exactly.
right along. So here's an interesting one, guys.
Oh,
Now
man,
the
how many questions
economy.
are on this? We'll start getting
A lot.
We'll start moving a little faster because we
We're
only got
talking
through
attitude.
page.
Okay.
We only
Here's
got page.
one.
Hold on, Phil. Hold on. We've only got through 1 of 6 pages. We do have to move through these a little faster. We can't.
I
spend
think
too
they
much
go
time on it.
faster. They go faster.
You
And
need
then-
every bit
and
of Phil
then-
Cayley's brilliance.
Real fast. That's a drink. Thanks, Bernie, for reeling us in, bringing us back to reality.
All right. Next question is: people are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality, and I picked strongly agree.
Tell us why.
I picked that because I think it goes back to culture, and I think it goes back to a state by state thing. We're all part of the same American family, but every state and every area is its own unique culture. And to a certain extent, people start bonding together out of tribalism and closeness and geography, and they identify with states, and they identify with their own small grouping of people. Sure, obviously, nationality is a big divide in certain areas, but I think class is a big division, especially in this country, because before the race thing, how many times did we see protests because the 99% of the 1%? I think you see people hating on other people because they were born into money or earned money because they played with toys on fucking YouTube, and we just talked about hating somebody for that. So I think class is a huge divider, and it can be more so because money's more powerful than anything. I think class can play a much bigger thing than nationality, because some people, we're getting to that point where people can actually look past that.
I don't disagree with you, Tony, and where I land with this one, it relates to our last topic, is a lot of the news media coverage creates the class division, and so it does exist. And I think it's manufactured in many aspects, because most neighbors, if none of them watch the news, if you ever notice, like if you ever move, I move a lot. Every time I move, and my neighbors are like, "Hey man, my name's so and so, and I got kids." Da, 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 da. They don't watch the news. They stay out of shit, and they are the most open, beautiful people you'll ever fucking meet. Whether they're rich or poor, they are authentic people. So I think a lot of us get divided by watching some of this nonsense. So, but I put agree. I didn't put strongly, but I do agree that class overall in this country is ultimately more divided than by nationality. Phil?
Now, my answer is more a product of how horribly worded this question is, because a lot of these questions are kind of awkwardly worded. So what divides me more between class and nationality? Well, if we're talking nationality, Do you know what divides me from Japan? The Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you know what divides me from the
Phil
nations
knows
of the
geography.
European Union? The Atlantic Ocean divides me by quite a bit. A lot more than some rich or poor guy. I can go find a rich and a poor guy in the same town. So I had to go with disagree because this is a very shittily worded question.
Okay.
So, like, just space and geography is what divides me from other nationalities.
I'm looking at it as here in America, not as a world thing.
Understandable, but it does say nationality right there. So that was
America
how I
is
took
a
it.
fucking rainbow of
Oh,
nationalities.
Let's not
You
get
don't
dug
have
into
to
this
go
one.
overseas.
Understandable, but that's just how I looked at it. Is like, really? Like, no. International borders and space and distance is what
So Phil
divides me from nationality.
It's people are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. That's obviously a triggering mechanism. Are you not triggered by that at all? Do you not think people in this country are divided by class, or do you think they're divided by nationality, or do you just not even think that is happening in this country?
In terms of what I think is happening in this country is one thing. I was just basically answering on how awful the question was worded. What do I think is dividing us more than anything else? You could say it's kind of a class, but it's not exactly. I call it political tribalism.
Sure.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there is the
I
political
agree.
class, the vaunted mandarins that rule over us. And then they convince us that there's all these different little groups we belong into, so we'll fight amongst ourselves.
Yes.
But in terms of, so if we're going to go by the broadest sweeping definition of class to include my
What's
definition.
more broad than geography, Phil? Come on.
All right.
Well, it says nationality right fucking there. What am I supposed to do? So, but no, if we're going to include the definition of class to be broad enough to kind of encompass my idea that we're in a political tribalism war where people have picked their political tribes, then I could see that. And you guys
So did I just
actually
persuade Phil to agree?
persuaded me. I'll go from disagree to agree.
I'll go with just agree. There we go. We'll meet in the middle.
Oh my God, I swayed both of you. All
Nice,
right.
There you go.
nice.
All right. Knee-jerk reaction.
And I'm going to
is the next
refresh
one.
real quick.
Knee-jerk
All
reaction.
right.
Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I
Agree.
What'd you say? Sorry.
I said agree.
I put strongly agree.
I just
So
picked agree.
Phil had to jump off for a second. Phil,
Oh,
the quick knee-jerk reaction. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Tony said agree. I put strongly agree. What's your answer?
Strongly agree. Absolutely. Controlling inflation is much more important than controlling unemployment, because if you don't control inflation properly, you will have plenty of unemployment.
There you go.
It's the longevity. I'm playing the long game here. That was how.
Perfect.
I
All right. We're in agreement there, folks.
All right.
Moving on.
Next one. Tony, you want to read this one?
Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I go with agree.
Oh, this one was tough for me.
It's loaded. It's a loaded question.
So when it's the word trust that falls in there that makes me lean towards the agree side, because I want to say disagree, because I think public opinion will destroy a company that just pollutes the world and does fucked up things and doesn't play by rules or go along with things. And I think we live in a society where, as we're seeing today on the news, most companies will fall in line with American beliefs usually when it's that big of a deal. However, I don't like regulation.
Nope.
So it's really tough because I don't want this regulation, but I don't trust big corporations at the same
There you
time.
go.
So this is my lefty heart, my righty heart are like at odds here.
Yep.
This is really hard. I think I originally put agree on here. Persuade me.
Well, Chicken, also, I'm going to say that, yes, this is one of those moments where I would say that in our old debates back in high school, the one thing that I always found frustrating with you was you had a suspicious lack of curiosity when it came to state power. And the thing that you seemed to have some frustration with me was a suspicious lack of curiosity when it came to corporate power. Now, this is one instance where, I'm sorry, but I'm going with everything you said. In today's world, public relations is more important to a company than anything. They will fold, they will fire the most important person on their entire team based on them saying a wrong sentence decades ago. So the idea that you need the government to even come in and say word fucking one when fucking corporations are fucking stumbling over and falling over themselves and bending themselves over the barrel for you when you just say boo, I have to go strongly disagree, because the fact that we have a social regulation is far more powerful than any kind of legal regulation that could ever be devised, because you can buy your way around a legal regulation. You can pay off a few politicians. You can't insatiate bad image. So that's what I would strongly disagree.
I'm sticking with agree, because we're talking long term. There's really nothing more important to the human race as a whole than the environment, and I'll just leave it at that.
Ooh.
The most important thing to the human race's survival as a whole is to explore the solar system and to reach out into the expanse of the universe. But that's a different
also environment. Expansion into new environment.
Go get a new one.
No, you can't.
No, actually, expanse is we'll talk about that another day, T.
I'm not convinced on moving. I'm gonna stick on just agree. I want to disagree with it, but I can't.
Me too.
At the moment.
But you can't.
Next one, Phil. We'll let you start. You'll start with this one. From each according to his ability, to teach according to his need is a fundamentally good idea.
If there was one above strongly disagree that went fuck no, I would click that on this, because that is the central tenet of Marxism. So not only do I strongly disagree, but I'm sorry, if you agree with that statement in any way, anybody out there, your brain is nothing more than a government pamphlet and an old banana peel. So, sorry, strongly disagree.
Oh,
it's the basis of one of the most wrong-headed and evil political ideologies of the 20th century that led to piles and piles of millions of dead. So, I'm sorry, this is one I'm going to plant the flag pretty heavy and strongly disagree.
I put disagree. I don't think I went strongly, but when you place it that way, God, it's goddamn persuasive, isn't it? I'm still at disagree for the moment. Tony, what do you got?
I hate the question. I think it's worded piss poor, and I just don't like it as a whole. If I could leave it blank, I would. I pick disagree.
Okay. All right. But yeah, this one, I'm sorry. I'm going to try and persuade you two gentlemen to go to strongly disagree here. And like Chicken said, it's persuadable. Well, when you have a stack of 25 million bodies to lay at the feet of some crazy ass fucking German philosopher's ideology, yes, that does bear a strong disagreement. That bears a little more than a stern look and a wagging of the finger. That does bear strong disagreement. That's my take on it.
Okay. All right, next.
I'm gonna.
Okay, you guys can stay and just disagree.
I'm
and,
just gonna. I'm gonna
laugh
appease
at the
Phil
bodies
so we can
of
move on.
communism, but that's I'll leave that up to you.
I'm gonna appease Phil so we can move on.
Okay. All right, I'm better.
Didn't appease me.
The
freer the market, the freer the people.
There you go.
Phil, go ahead. Go ahead.
Strongly agree, motherfucker. Yes, the freer the markets, the freer everybody that is touched by that market, because it's a voluntary system. So
I just hit agree with it because, there's economic issues involved in there that are just completely left out of that short phrase. Phil, I share your sentiment. And that's the libertarian heart of mine is yes, like just let us fucking do everything. However, there's realities that come into play eventually. So I stick with agree. Tony?
That's exactly why my initial choice was agree. I didn't overthink it. This is one of those. I just picked the one that came to mind first, and everything you just said. Exactly. Other things come into play eventually. But agree. Okay. It's a sad.
Well, we're not talking.
Oh, shit.
Hang on. Give me one more volley here, gentlemen. Well, here's the thing. When we're talking about the freer the market, the freer the people, we're not necessarily talking about optimal outcomes or optimal conditions for every single individual. We are talking about the maximum amount of freedom. And those are two different things. And so that's why I say that, yes, the freer the market, the freer the people is a strong agree as opposed to just an agree. Now, yes, there are going to be instances that there are things that are not optimal, but we are talking about the maximum amount of freedom and liberty, not just the maximum amount of comfort or what would be considered the perfect good, if you will. So that's why I went with strongly agree on that, because yes, if we're talking just on the scale of freedom and how free somebody is to move and make market decisions, you really can't dispute it. So that's my one attempt at trying to move you.
We're arguing between agree and strongly agree, so it really doesn't bear that much effort. But I can't ignore variables on most issues. Variables are important a lot of the time, most of the time, if not all the time. So
Phil, in a republic democracy that we are republic, I don't know, however you want to fucking word the world we live in, like you're gonna have contrarians, you're gonna have pushback, and you're gonna have compromise. So I think agree is probably the most appropriate for me. Knowing that, I get you don't necessarily want to listen to those that want to compromise and don't want to hear the contrarians. So I know where you stand.
I've even compromised once this evening, sir. Like, so
I did twice. So.
And Tony, have you moved at all, or are you just, I will stand here upon this rock until the sun rises?
I may have moved from strongly to regular, vice versa, but nothing up or down.
All right.
Let's move on. We got a lot to go here.
It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded consumer product. I put agree. Now, the reason I did agree is because I like that we can brand, create business on anything, including water. Like when I was younger, I bitched about it a lot. I'm like, we fucking bottled water. What the fuck are we buying water for? Water, and then my libertarian heart started like taking over after a couple years. Water is not a God-given right. And it kind of is a commodity, just like food, and other things. So I still agree. I might be persuaded on this one, but
well, here, I'll make it simple for you. I'll make it simple for you. I picked disagree because it's the opportunity there to make a business for yourself and earn a living. And it's the fact that you look at like flood victims and all the bottled water that went to those causes that were donations. So having it be a commodity isn't necessarily a bad thing. Again, it's just a small example. Bottled water is what this question's really asking. But my initial reaction, I wanted to hit agree, but I had to go with disagree.
Now, before I say what my answer is, I'm gonna let you guys predict. What do you think I put here?
Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree.
Correct, sir. Strongly disagree because I'm sorry. What you have with a bottle of water is a portable gourd, the perfect portable gourd that carries your water and can be quickly chilled. And if you would have been on the Oregon goddamn trail along the way, like, hey, got a bottle of water. Here's a bottle of water right here. I'll give you every goddamn animal skin I have for this amazing convenience that has been blessed to us from the fucking heavens. And so now we have bottled water everywhere. And so guess what? Because we have bottled water all over the place, you know that whole and many shall die of thirst for want of water. We can hold that off an extra day or two around here. That's a good thing. So to me, I strongly disagree.
I can see why you're saying that. I'm looking at it not just as bottled water, but the idea of bottled water as an example. So I'm just going to stick with just disagree, but I can absolutely understand what you're saying with the strongly disagree. If we're ready to move on to the next one, Phil, why don't you take the lead?
I think you both moved me to disagree because I originally agreed that I didn't like the reflection of it. So
can I
move
take
again? I move again.
Yeah, Phil, this is all you.
Okay, I'm a farmer, in case you don't know. So let me just read this one. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Okay, now that I spit those words out of my mouth after having said them, boy, howdy, guys. I'm going to let you guys take a wild guess what I put on that one.
Probably strongly agree because you're a hippie.
Nah, it was strong. Yeah, fuck you, Tony. Fuck you. It was strongly disagree because property ownership is one of the basic tenets of human rights. Rights are the necessary conditions of one's proper existence, and having some measure of property is a necessary condition of one's proper existence. Even if you're in one of those, we're all going to share the land, everything shared commune. At the end of the day, there is a final user. So only one person can wear the pair of pants. You can't have two people wear it. At one point, there has to be a final user. And land is just the same as any other commodity, just like bottled water. So the difference is there's a lot more bottled water than there is land. So I strongly disagree with this. And if either one of you clicked anything other than strongly disagree, please tell me why you're wrong.
I didn't. I strongly disagree as well.
Woo! All right. Tony?
I picked disagree.
Well, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
You shut
You
your
want me to
whore
explain
mouth.
why?
Please do.
I picked disagree because it's not really disagreeing with you, Phil. It's just going to piss you off enough when I do this. Is it regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society? Phil, go ahead.
Is it regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society? Well, as that money is being manipulated, here's the thing. When people say, oh, the millionaires and the billionaires, they just put the money in a bank. Well, okay, it sits in a bank. So what does it do in that bank? Do they just put it under their pillow in that bank? Or do they send it out in loans? And do they use it to create more economic activity? So to me, I put strongly disagree because if you're building a fortune, the economy is healthier for it. So that's why I strongly disagreed.
Okay.
I just picked disagree because, sure, yeah, there's an obvious need for the service being provided by banks and these companies, but at the same time, they do unfortunately stomp on some people who are just scraping by, doing it the honest way. People who are just starting businesses up, who can't quite get to that point where they can actually be beneficial to use a bank. I'm looking at it with a lot of variables, and we could go on and on about this one. I feel like we could really dive deep, but I'm just going to go with a simple disagree.
Yeah, let's move on.
What
was yours? Yeah, no, you don't get out of this shit, chicken. What'd you pick?
I picked strongly disagree right away. The land thing, like,
nice. All right,
to me it was no question. Go ahead.
I'll let you guys take this one.
All right, it is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society.
We just covered this one, yo.
Oh, you guys went on a question without me?
Yeah.
Where the fuck were you?
I was.
Yeah, you were there right along with us,
on my
man.
phone. I was answering questions on my phone. Okay. I didn't get to hear any of your guys' rhetoric.
That's what we were talking about. Yes, you did hear it. You were right there, you lying motherfucker. Don't you fucking tell me.
I was
you
playing
right
on my
here.
phone.
No, I was right here. You don't get to gaslight me like that. I wasn't here. Like we're all
okay. So on this one, it's regrettable that space time just opened. It's regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. That's a tough one. I didn't even listen to you guys argue on this, obviously, because I thought you were still talking about the other one. And I thought we needed to move on, but you guys just like to ramble.
Suck ass.
Oh yeah, I do suck ass. I believe in an open market, an open society. I get that. I get being regrettable that there's some shady shit. I'll put disagree.
There you go.
All right, you guys are closer. All right, I'll let you guys take this one. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Tony, you want to take this one first?
I think it's. I'm just going to go with a simple one. I'm going to go with agree, just because everybody needs to protect their own interests, and I'm going to keep it simple. Go ahead, try to sway me.
I get that sentiment, but I disagree. I think free trade is very important, and if you're not educated enough to get in and participate, you probably shouldn't be in the ball game, right? Like if you don't know how to catch a ball, if you don't know how to catch a ball or throw a ball, you shouldn't play baseball, right? As simple as terms I can put it. However, you can be manipulated. So that's where I would put the disagree.
Okay, I can see
Not
that.
strongly.
All right.
Like, yeah, there should be protections on shit going too far, right? There's got to be like,
there you go.
Whoa, let's have a full stop real quick because somebody's taking advantage of a situation. I get that.
Right.
But 90% of the time, 99% of the time, you're not going to have that happen. So it is hey, let's have some free trade here. What commodities are worth versus what you have? Let's trade. Let's get some shit together. Yeah. Bernie Madoff, yo. Go ahead, Phil.
Go ahead, Phil.
Oh, okay. Boy, how much time you got, guys?
Not long.
A farmer talking about protectionism.
Just don't lose me to where I play with my phone and not pay attention.
A farmer in the middle of a goddamn trade war talking about protectionism. Boy, howdy. In theory, if we had the free market that we were talking about, I would completely, I'm with you. You want the freest trade possible. And that would be a disagree. But at the same time, here we are in the middle of a goddamn trade war, and even we're all saying, we do need some protections against certain things. I look at protectionism in the same way that it was said before from the carpenter from the plains of Galilee. An eye for an eye leaves the world blind. And so I would prefer we lived in a world without protectionism. And so I am in the softest possible disagree unless I can be persuaded otherwise.
I think we'd have to dive way too deep into it to get you to sway on this one. And I think
ammo on that one.
I do think
No,
you're right.
I don't either.
I am persuadable on this one, but like you said, this is damn near its own dog and chicken show topic.
I was gonna say, I think that's what
tune
it
in for
comes
the
down to.
protectionism episode coming up here soon, folks.
We'll see
if I can get
talk all day
persuaded
about examples of where it would be absolutely justifiable and necessary, but I just go with the knee-jerk reaction on this one. Let's. I think we got like 5 or 6 more on this page. Let's try to get through this page and into a new area so we don't
Can we
lose
do
any.
some rapid fire here? Because there's a lot.
Yeah. The only social responsibility of a
think I can.
company should ever be to deliver a profit is to its shareholders. Phil?
If it does anything else, it will cease to be a company. Strongly agree.
Ooh. So it's a social responsibility of a company. I put a disagree. Yeah, to Phil's point, I get Phil's sentiment, but it's a social responsibility. It's not a financial responsibility. Those are two different things. So I put disagree.
Oh,
You have a social
We're going quick.
responsibility. You have a social responsibility to keep yourself as a company. So that's how I look at it. Tony,
You got to have shareholders in mind. I agree, but
got
you guys are actually pushing me back and forth because I'm going back and forth on this one. God, I think there's a little bit more to it, a social responsibility than just delivering a profit because, again, big picture. So I'll just pick disagree and we'll move on.
Damn it! Oh, sorry. Was that?
It was close. It was close. I'm not gonna lie. The rich are too highly taxed. That's a pretty short question that doesn't dive very deep into it.
Phil's gonna hate
Yuck.
me. Phil's gonna hate me. Get ready. No, just kidding. I'm stuck on here. I think it's in between. I'm gonna put disagree because most of them figured out the loopholes to get out of it, and they probably should be paying more. So I put disagree.
I agree with chicken.
In a world where we have fractional reserve banking that makes money out of thin air and there's no rhyme to its reason, every single one of us are too highly taxed if we're taxed $1 because it's a fucking funny money economy at this point. So I put strongly agree because every last one of us are too highly taxed. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are, especially when we're no longer on a gold standard.
Damn it,
if we're
Phil
talking
moved
in
me.
terms
Phil
of
moved
taxes,
me.
if we're talking
you.
strictly
Thank
in
you.
terms of understanding that taxes are going to be a thing and there is not a fucking thing we can do about that, I'm going to stick with disagree because guess what? If we tax some asshole who absolutely deserves to be taxed into the ground to the point where he has to get a job at fucking McDonald's, guess what? That job exists and he is free to get that job if he wants to work and earn a paycheck. So just disagree.
Well, I'm sorry. Who the fuck wants to live under a system where somebody that actually made it in life can be taxed down to working at fucking McDonald's, man? I'm sorry. That is injustice. That really. You're not.
It is.
You're not free to move. You have to get a fucking passport, and your money's going to be fucking reprimanded, and it's going to be taken from you when you leave. You are not
you have
free
the
to
freedom
go.
to
You
work
cannot
towards
leave
that
without the
goal.
government's permission.
You
So
have
is
that
not the
freedom
case.
to work towards that goal. What a good
To
country.
be taxed. Who the fuck wants to work to be taxed to nothing again?
It's a
Like, I'm sorry.
fucking fee.
So that's like, I'm sorry. I'm going to stick with strongly agree. The rich are too highly taxed because everyone's too highly
All right,
taxed. Because
all
when
right.
you understand how our money is made, it's fucking a shell game, anyways. So, anyways,
Phil got me to move on that one. Next one. We're trying to do rapid fire. All right. So
Yeah.
then you got the
those-
wrong guy on this show.
I fucking realize that. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care.
Strongly disagree.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I just went with
everything
disagree.
has a-
This one's tough. This one's a really
not.
tough one. To me it is. To me it is, like, cuz I don't want a socialist government program to run the healthcare system. I do believe that if you want better care, you can, like, it's capitalism mixed in with healthcare, which gets sketchy, and I know that
Yep.
the bad sides of that. I do. That's why I'm like in a fucking conundrum here, and I just put disagree. Phil?
Well, everything in this life does have a cost. Every procedure does have cost behind it. So if you're like some sort of eccentric millionaire who has some sort of rare disease and you want to try different varying rare procedure to rare procedure to rare procedure, I think you should, kind of like the right to try movement, I think you have the right to blow your money on experimental procedures if that's what you want to do. So I put, boy, I'm going to get the hate, but I don't care. This is my opinion. Strongly agree. If you have the money to pay for the medical procedures that you need or want done, now that's not to say that I want people to be denied medical care, but if you want to go extra on your health care, if you want to have some crazy fucking elective surgery or something, there should be nothing that prevents that.
This is
There's
where
nothing-
libertarians fuck this whole thing up, because libertarians are all like, you can take any drugs you want, you can do anything you want to your body, you can do everything you want. But then this question gets proposed that should healthcare be a human right? Should this be a right or a privilege? Because that's what it boils down to. And
Well, there's people who can't afford to fucking buy life-saving insulin because of the cost inflation.
No,
I don't think
we
it
were
should
just
depend
talking
on,
about
"Oh, I
water.
can pay."
We were just talking about water a minute ago. Is water an absolute, like,
it's a commodity?
You're given life. You're not given the amenity to support this life. Milk and honey does not fall in one's mouth for the simple price of opening it towards the sky.
Other countries do it. We should be able to do it too. It's that simple.
It's
I tell you
which countries are you referring to?
That's a whole episode. That's a whole
all
episode,
those nasty
guys.
socialist ones that have those horrible standards. I understand that they're not maybe the same level of standard healthcare. Here's the thing. The question says should have access to higher standards. So we're not talking about crazy wackadoo procedures in the fucking jungle that we had to pay $10 million to get access to that are, maybe not necessarily necessary procedures. We're talking about standards of medical care. So because I don't make X amount of money, as maybe I fall into a tax bracket just a smidge below the next guy, he gets a better doctor because he makes just a little bit more than me. I think that's where the question sucks.
Well, we're talking about higher standards. So every single human being cannot be given the highest standard. Then that is why you have the price mechanism. And so
but I think medical care itself should be held to a higher
anyone
standard.
that can pay for it get better care than people that can't.
So here's the flaw in all of this is the fallacy is that humans can give better care to one person rather than another, whether it be on money or not. So you're going to make the assumption that a doctor who's given the Hippocratic Oath and actually believes in it will go, Tony paid me $20 for this, Chicken paid me 40, so I'm gonna give Chicken a little extra, painkillers or whatever. Like, is that real today or not? I think a lot of this comes to fallacies in our current system. People inflate kind of the circumstances. It's the insurance companies are the big problem.
There you go. I was just going to say that.
Obamacare is a fucking joke that ruined it and made the insurance companies fucking worse. So that's a whole other episode. I don't know how deep we want to go into this.
I have about an hour's worth of Obamacare horror stories. And it completely ruined my health care. And I had a great fucking plan before Obamacare. Completely destroyed it. And I'm one of the, and perhaps that might be one of the reasons that the reason I have with my question is government fucked with my health care good and fucking thorough. And I think I've had me plenty of that. So that's,
I'll tell you what, I'll leave it at this. Guy in bed A has not great health insurance. He has what he has to get by. Guy in bed B has amazing health insurance, so they run him through the ringer, do a bunch of unnecessary tests. Turns out they both have the same thing wrong with them, and there's a drug trial just starting up, but there's only one spot. Guess who's getting that fucking spot? So I tell you what, I will move it to just disagree, and we will move on.
All right, next question. Let's get it pulled up. Let's get moving on here. God, we're going on rapid fire. This rapid fire is the slowest firing gun I've ever fucking shot.
That's why I said it before we went down
it. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I agree. I want to do strongly agree. You know what? No, I just don't understand. I don't want government. Okay, never mind. I'm switching. I've thought about this. I'm going to disagree. Government should not
You're
penalize.
all over the fucking place.
Government should not penalize business, period.
Thank you, Chicken, because that's why I am strongly disagree with this proposition. Because as I have stated earlier, we have kind of an eBay reputation system going now for businesses. Everyone is so desperate for a good review. The idea that a government should penalize a business for misleading the public other than the most egregious things where people have been harmed. And then at that point, you're talking about actual bodily harm, which is a whole different set of tort and law. Literally, a bad Yelp review can put a restaurant under.
Yep. Tony,
so I look at we have a much better social regulation, a free market regulation, if you will.
Oh, yes. Free market. Tony?
TG?
Would you guys consider like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, social media platforms business?
I consider them public square at this point.
Okay, but they are owned and operated by people and higher ups, and they earn money off of them. Yes or no?
What's the point of your leading question here, T?
The point is, did Trump not just sign an order that says, "Hey, you guys in social media can't be dicks"? So I kind of consider that a penalty, maybe not on a monetary scale.
So here's the difference.
I think it plays into that.
It infringes on the First Amendment. Is where we're leading to, because the way you're taking the business aspect, you're leading it into the Constitution to where you're restricting free speech. That's different. Yes. And that's why I put disagree and not strongly disagree, because when a company has the power to manipulate public square, I agree with you that the government should step in, because
I think censorship is misleading as fuck.
Yes, it is. And I agree with that. But say I don't know, a coffee shop has a misleading ad that says my coffee tastes better than everybody else's. That hurts nobody. It hurts zero.
They all say that. They all say that.
Exactly. So like there's a million ways you can prescribe this, and 1% of them are harmful, and those are the ones that infringe on your constitutional rights, and those should be regulated by the government. And that's why I put disagree versus strongly disagree.
I'm not just looking at it as a monetary thing, the penalization. So I get that it's a separate thing. I get your point, but I think it kind of falls on the same sword a bit.
And
so
I understand what you're saying.
Agree.
But the actions of President Trump really has no bearing on whether I agree or disagree with the proposition. Like it is a new thing to discuss, but whether I disagree or agree with it. Now, if we wanted to get into that, I mean, guys.
No.
Okay, all right. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Dun, dun, dun. Now, if I may just take this for a moment, guys.
Sure.
I put strongly disagree, because you cannot, it is impossible to have a monopoly without government granting an exclusive right or privilege. So if you have a free market, that it doesn't matter, even if you have all the businesses try to collude together, you're going to have someone come along to try and undercut their agreed upon price. So these fictional stories are like the evil businessman in the back room colluding on what their price is going to be. Never fucking happens. Never gonna happen. And the minute they started colluding with each other, one of them would just undercut to grab a bigger market share. So I put strongly disagree, because in a genuine free market, monopolies last for but a fleeting moment, and then it's just gone like dust in the wind, because the minute you get comfortable in the free market, some fucking idiot comes along and disrupts your whole good thing. And so that's why I put strongly disagree.
I'm pretty sure I went agree on this one. And Phil, I have a lot of sentiment towards what you just said there. I agree with a lot of that. Here's the deal. Monopolies are real, and abuse of I don't want to say abuse. Maybe that's the wrong way to put it. It's real. Who can compete with Amazon?
Yes, but as I said earlier, monopolies,
Who can
true monopolies,
with YouTube?
only
YouTube.
come. Who can? Oh, there's competitors that
Who
jump
can
up
compete
every day,
with
guys.
Facebook?
Well, again, we're talking about companies that are on the public square, that are on the internet. Okay, we're talking about these internet companies that are actually going
Damn you,
on.
Buddha.
Yeah, so love you. But like I said earlier, we're talking about they're on what you could consider the public square, so that's a different issue. But what I was talking about with multinationals and monopolies, you cannot get a monopoly without the government granting exclusive rights or privilege or some sort of exclusive manufacturer rights. So
what happened
that
with
is
Google? What happened with Google in China?
What happened with Google in China? Is that your example of a monopoly?
So Google created a what's the word I'm looking for? They're not allowed to search for anything that the Chinese government doesn't want. So the Chinese government is using Google to monopolize thought.
Yeah, that is bad. That is really bad, and that's an exclusive right being granted by the government. The people of China aren't allowed to use other search engines. They're not allowed to go out and use other internet services, and that keeps with my argument.
China claims to have a free market.
Well,
they claim.
Boy, howdy, boy, fucking howdy. Yeah, you can claim a lot of things. I'm fucking 12 feet tall, and I'm the space pope. I can claim that too. But
one of those is true.
Thank you.
I tell you what. Before we go crazy with this, my knee-jerk reaction was agree. I think everything Phil's initial point said sounded really good. I just disagree with the fact that those backroom meetings never happen. I think that's a very, very much real thing. Maybe not the picture-perfect thing they put in the movies, but it happens.
I hate restrictions. I hate monopolies.
Yeah.
I think monopolies are more real today than they were when, 20 years ago. We're seeing them more prevalent now than ever, so that's why I stick with my original agree.
Well, again, guys, if you're going to give me one last volley here, sirs, it says a genuine free market. And if you're talking a genuine free market, you're talking about monopolies.
Name somewhere that's got a genuinely free market.
We're talking about the question, the proposition being put forward. Like you said, in a genuinely free market, you can't have monopolies.
Oh, fuck.
It just doesn't.
This page.
Boy.
Here we go.
All right,
so
fire round. We're only on page 3 of 6. We got to move through.
We got to fire through this section because this one is a whole big bag of hoopsie daisy topics.
Woo!
All right, here we go. Rapid fire. Let's not let's not go off tangent
I
on
don't
a lot
think
of
I
these.
can.
So, whoo, here we go. Question: abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Fuck, right out of the gate like that, huh?
Yeah.
God
Abortion.
damn.
When the
One of y'all want
woman's
to take
life-
this one first? I'll let you.
I was pro-choice for a long time in my youth. Not that I would have ever actually utilized that choice because that wasn't my personal choice. But I think medical procedures and difficulties kind of come into play on this, and nobody should be allowed to play God in this scenario. It's unfortunate that it happens, but man, I'm just gonna go with disagree because there's too many variables to plant your flag anywhere else for me.
For me, I personally, in my personal life, take the stance of being pro-life, but I would not legally impose that viewpoint upon others. So
There
I
you go.
have the softest disagree possible.
There you go.
So
Perfect.
it's that's how I look at it.
Thank you.
I think that's how the law should be laid out. And I hit agree is the law should be there to protect the women, the children. And then because I think we've seen the time frames and we can make a whole episode about that. We won't get into
Let's
that.
leave it at
the
that.
time frames is where I put myself on the agree mark. All authorities should be questioned.
Disagree.
I fucking strongly agree.
Strongly agree. All authority
Disagree.
should be questioned. The essential observation of anarchism is that all authority should be questioned. If you're going to boil it down to its most essential observation, authority, just trusting authority for its own sake, is not only a logical fallacy, but as you've said earlier, it is how you go down the dark paths of humanity. So, authority just for authority's sake absolutely should be questioned. And I look at competence way more than I look at authority. Exactly. Somebody waving their authority around, you should listen to me because X, like that really doesn't impress me. So,
yeah, I've been in circles of being on the end of having authority and on the end of not having authority, and how people carry themselves with and without it, and seeing them in both scenarios. I've seen the human response to that, and it scares the fucking shit out of me. Not many people should be given the responsibility of authority, a peer authority over other people. And then I think how they would handle that over somebody's life. Fuck that. I will question you every time. And I think you should always question authority. Unless you know you did something wrong. If you know you did something wrong, you broke a law. Okay, yeah, okay. I was speeding. Sure, here's my license, registration, give me my ticket. I know the law, I broke it. Whatever, move on.
There you go.
But questioning authority when you don't have any reason to have authority in your face, that's where I strongly agree that you need to be questioning.
That's fine. I get a giggle out of that whole buzzword of authority. Just gets such a knee-jerk reaction from you guys. I think that's great. Authority, I get you guys sometimes just put that authority word parallel with awful, bad, evil, nasty, devil, horrible. So that's the initial. But like you said, if you're a piece of shit yourself and you're doing bad stuff, who the fuck are you to question the laws that work for other people in a position that aren't doing bad shit? So I'm looking at it broadly. I'm not looking at it like as an evil authority trying to oppress you. I'm just like all of it.
So you were strongly disagreed.
Like my second grade teacher who just wanted me to fucking write correctly on the paper. I needed to question her because I'm a fucking rebel.
I don't think that's authority. That's a
it's a little
parental
authority.
figure.
I'm looking at authority across the board, and it says all authority. So it's a soft disagree.
So you went from strongly to disagree?
No, I was just disagree.
Oh, okay.
I say Fuck that motherfucking second grade ass teacher and all their authority. What the fuck? No, question that shit too.
An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, guys.
Strongly agree.
I disagree.
I'm gonna go in the middle. Agree.
Yeah.
I know I just talked about this in our protectionism question, but when you're talking in your own life, you know, don't let folks walk on you in this life. You got to live it.
I think it's only disagreeable in the scenario when maybe you don't have all the information to decide that
There you go.
particular outcome. And
There you go.
some people make knee-jerk reactions when we find out more information. We find out that they were fucking wrong.
People
People
make
will get
mistakes
put to
and make
death
stupid decisions on bad
were innocent.
information.
There you go. Simple as that. I'm just going to stick with agree. Soft agree.
Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive a commercial basis.
Agree. We just had this with the fucking stimulus bill.
Yeah, I'm strongly agree. You know, there's plenty of museums and plenty of places that are able to keep their doors open just based on their attractions, the fact that people like them.
I think they're. I agree. I think they're important. They should have their own funding to a certain extent, but yeah, I think it's important long term.
Oh, this one's gonna be fun. This next one, Tony.
Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory.
This is tough. Like we've talked about this on the show before about how people are finding maybe that homeschooling is not so fucking bad after all. I think we could poll people now and go, you still think that? You still feel that way now that you had to be with those kids for 3 fucking months at a time? Are you sure? But I digress. I don't know. This is a tough one. It's not a very well thought out question. I mean, it's blunt. It's to the point. So I'm going to let you guys sway me on this one. Go ahead.
I put disagree on there because I think with attendance and compulsory actions, like a lot of this comes down to, are you going to show up for work? Or like it's some of that basic like routine teaching of children. So I think there's benefit from it. If you have a classroom, imagine being a teacher. Imagine being a teacher where there's no rules and it's fucking anarchy. Good goddamn luck getting anything out of your children without being super goddamn creative. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there's fucking examples out there. But no, I think you gotta have some classroom attendance. Now I'm not against homeschooling at all. I with my little experiment. Well, it wasn't an experiment. It was a forced experiment.
Yeah.
But no, I think homeschooling can be just as valuable too. I think there's a lot to go. So I could be swayed to different opinions on here, but I think any type of childhood obedience training is not necessarily always bad.
I'm not necessarily always bad, but it should necessarily be meted out by the parents whenever possible, and shouldn't be done by the state. So I put strongly agree with the idea that schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. And when you're talking about anarchy, I think you'd actually get quite the opposite. You would only get the students who want to be there learning. The little fuck off, slough off who's just there to ruin it for every other kid isn't going to be there because he's off playing hooky and nobody cares. He's not going to get no smarter anyways. Let him have his time. But what I just think you would actually have a better quality of classroom if it wasn't compulsory, and you would also get better quality of education for the general group because no, you don't have classrooms bogged down with people, and you do have homeschooling as an option open to many, many more people, and they don't have to go through the rigmarole. So to me, that's how I look at it is You actually open up options for people. You actually decrease class sizes to the kids who actually want to be there and learn. And that's better, and it's more fair for the kids who actually want to be there. So that's how I look at it.
Okay, I'm trying to remember what I picked last time, and after listening to you guys, I'm gonna go with a soft agree on this one because I'm thinking about this like in my own little world, which is why I'm trying to fight the urge to pick disagree, because I think to a certain extent you kind of need some people. Let me put it that way: some people at least need that experience in their youth, dealing with their peers, dealing with that authority figure to kind of enter the workforce as an adult. It kind of prepares you for that in that regard. Maybe not the teachings specifically, but the environment and what you deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I think that's important to an extent. But I will say you guys probably did shift me a bit, and I'll pick a soft agree on this one. And we can move on to the next one, and fuck me, somebody else take it.
All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep their own kind. Keep to their own kind.
I went with strongly disagree.
Same.
Folks can go wherever the fuck they like. I don't get that one. So
I think this is just. I think that's dressing up segregation and racial diversity in a really eloquent way.
This one, all right, guys. This one's
good.
Gonna
Parents
be
sometimes have to spank their children. I agree. I've spanked my child 2 times in his 11 and a half years of his life. I've spanked him
I'll go
twice,
with a soft
and the
agree.
Got it.
There you go.
Damn.
A soft agree, because some kids, not all kids are the same. It has nothing to. It comes down to nothing that the parents have done to get them to that point. Sometimes it's some kids just have a really hard time getting to a place where they're comfortable with rules, regulations from the parents, and discipline. And timeouts don't always work. And some kids, it's a really ugly topic these days. But I got a soft agree here, because you look back at the 70s, all the kids from the 70s are like, we got our fucking asses kicked and we're better for it. You can't say that now because it pisses people off. Hell, you couldn't say that 10, 15 years ago. It pissed people off. But some people just need their ass whooped. And that's not really, some people just need their ass whooped regardless of age, unfortunately. And that's just the harsh reality. Oh, kids are cute. Kids are innocent. No, kids are not fucking innocent. Kids are goddamn animals. If you put a fucking toddler in a room with a fucking baby puppy, you better keep a close eye on it, because that motherfucker might rip its head off.
Sure.
Anyway,
Phil?
It's soft agree.
Strongly disagree. Sorry, we are in the 21st century now. We upgrade our technology all the time.
Gave Phil the
no, hang on. Let me talk here.
Okay, go ahead, Phil.
We're in the 21st century. We upgrade our technology all the time. We upgrade our computer systems. We upgrade our phones. We upgrade all the things in our lives, yet we never think to upgrade our parenting techniques. And we think that just the way that it's always been done for the last 5,000 years is the absolute perfect peak, and it can't be upgraded in any way. I don't see it that way. And also, negotiation really is the way to go on that particular way. Spanking suffers from a severe diminishing returns. You're not going to get the outcomes you want after a couple, 2 or 3 times. And again, you can wash me in your judgment. I don't care. This is one of those issues that's very big to me. It's interesting that they have this word in here that isn't proper. They say good parents sometimes have to spank their children. And that's an odd idiom, because when they say spank, what you're really saying is hit. So what it really means is good parents sometimes have to hit their children. And that is what the question is actually saying, because spank is this cute little idiom that we make up to dance around the fact that we hit our children. So to me, I strongly
think there's
disagree
a big difference between a slap on the ass and a punch to the face, because unfortunately, more and more, unfortunately, we're seeing parents who, even in today's day and age, take it way, 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 way too far and bad shit happens because of that. So I guess to my question to you, Phil, is at what age is it appropriate that physical violence is acceptable upon a person? Because you were focusing on the parent to child relationship.
Technically, never. I mean, technically,
okay.
Never. That's
but,
if we're being like, when is it acceptable to inflict violence on a person? Well, that's never.
So you would
if you as the adult
personally inflict violence on another person. So again, at what age does that change? Because we could be children is subjective in this question, and if you're talking about your kid is physically beating you up, beating your wife up, we're not talking about necessarily just a cute kid here. At what point can you put hands on your kid? Because I know we didn't want to dive down this ugly rabbit hole, but it's not an easy question, and it's not an easy answer. This is unfortunate.
As I've put forward before, it's a philosophical theory called the non-aggression principle, in which the initiation of the use of force is immoral under every circumstance, but in order to defending someone or defending a loved one or defending yourself is not an initiation of the use of force. So that actually is a moral use of force, but you are not initiating the use of force. And so I understand what you're saying there, but yeah, technically it's never is when you can initiate the use of force and it be considered moral. And if you as the adult in the relationship cannot find a better path forward than to strike, perhaps just take a moment, breathe, think about it. You're not an ape. You're not an animal. You're not some creature of the wild. You are a human being with a brain, and you can find your way to negotiate your way through this. I beg you, if you take nothing else from this discussion tonight, please listen to me on that.
I think negotiation is something all parents need to focus on more, regardless of situation. And we don't do that in my house either, but it is one of those things where it's ugly, but there are variables, and some cases, and I'm sure they're very, very far and few between, but I don't even want to think about it, honestly. Let's just move on to the next.
Oh, child rearing is a lot like making sausage, as the old joke goes. It's rough watching it happen. So I'm not judging nobody. That to quote Louis C.K., it's like, now I don't hit my kids, but if you do, I totally don't judge.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a joke, folks. I'm joking. These are all jokes. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
All right, next one.
All right. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. This is just basic human nature. Strongly agree.
Same here. Yeah, show of hands of everybody who kept some secrets from their parents growing up.
Fucking constantly. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. All right.
The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs.
I strongly agree. Strongly agree. Other than reading, writing, arithmetic, I strongly agree. We're teaching them too much fluff and not enough of the stuff. So that's how I look at it.
But other than reading, writing, and all that stuff that you just kind of glossed over, that's why I'm only picking agree, because that's kind of a big deal. Like, people don't know how to read. People don't know how to write. People don't know how to do those basic functions. And I think up until a certain point, that should be the prime function. And then at another point, we move into equipping them to find jobs.
Here's my problem with the education system right now is you're seeing it today, and protests are happening because people have not been educated on our fundamental basic rights. People just don't understand what the Constitution is and what it stands for, and how it should be interpreted. And I'm not saying school should tell you how to interpret it, but like half of the people don't know the Constitution. They can say First Amendment, Second Amendment, and then they get lost after that, and they have no fucking clue beyond that. And I think our school systems have failed on that sense. Yes, prepare them for the workforce, prepare them for their future, absolutely. But god damn it, if I'm paying that many tax dollars into this whole goddamn thing, I really feel that my kids should come out of that knowing all of their rights and how their future could be affected if those rights are taken away. I just see a complete shit show right now of our youth. And I don't know, maybe that's me being a goddamn boomer right now, but it's fucking gross.
Fucking.
You know, I get it. I just think at a certain
Tony,
point,
I see people our age that have no idea what their rights are. And they conflate and make these fucking weird assumptions that I have the right to do this. No, you don't. You have a right to do this and this and this, but not what you're doing. You don't have a right to break windows. Like, that's not okay.
I think we're just moving on to a completely different topic from the original one.
Yep. All right. Moving on.
Moving on.
People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce.
Wow.
Eh.
I'm just going to go with strongly disagree, because who the flying fuck do we put on this magical council to decide who gets to reproduce and who doesn't? The fact that there would even be the discussion of setting that shit up would terrify the fuck out of me. So
it's disgusting, yes.
So yeah, eugenics, I'm going to go with a strong disagree on eugenics. Yeah, I know that's a really tough moral.
I assume you're with us.
Moral stance for me to make.
I just, my knee-jerk reaction, I clicked disagree because, again, this isn't a comfortable topic, but it is life, and there are variables, as there are with everything. You're going to hear me say that for pretty much everything. But if it comes down to somebody who would spread something really bad for everybody else, and all they would have to do to prevent that would be, hey, just maybe adopt. I mean, I maybe that's not such a bad option in that scenario, but nobody should ever have their God-given rights taken away from them. And I think that's just a human right. It's a human right.
So a human right to reproduce. You put, you put disagree instead of strongly disagree.
I just picked disagree because I didn't want to overthink it or get overly passionate about something that I can't really relate to.
You should get overly passionate.
Why?
On a human God-given right, you should always be overly passionate.
Well, I understand, like, people who would be in the affirmative of this particular idea. It's like, if you've ever seen the Little People, Big World show on TLC, it was two dwarfs who actually had children of their own. Yep. People who would be in the affirmative of this idea would have never allowed those children to ever be born. So that's a scary, terrifying idea. I mean, the human tapestry is going to be made of all different shapes and sizes. So I'm strongly disagree on that one. So, but I think we there's nobody here that's like, hey, dude, I fucking love this shit. Let's do it. There's nobody here that's like that. So,
Tony,
shall we move on?
Did we persuade you to strongly disagree?
I just think there's more to it than that, and I'm not saying, like, I feel like not picking strongly agree or strongly disagree is me agreeing, because it's not. I think it's just we could get deeper. That's fine. If that's the way you want to take it. I'm not going to overthink it, and I'm not.
Goddamn asshole!
All right. We'll move on. The most important.
Disagree enough.
Stop. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline.
Disagree.
Strongly disagree.
I put disagree.
Just disagree. Because if you pick strongly disagree, you're teaching them to learn to not question authority, which goes back to what you guys said earlier.
Well, yeah, I don't think they should. The most important thing for a child to learn shouldn't be to accept discipline. And that does tie into always question authority, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So
I think the
that
most
would be-
important thing a child can learn is to be a human being.
To
So
me,
Phil-
if
so
there's a
Phil-
kid that won't accept discipline on its face and always questions authority, I'd be like, "You're a pretty cool fucking kid. What the fuck? How did you fucking come on, kid? Let's talk. Let's talk philosophy here. What the fuck?" So yeah, that's just me.
No, Phil, the way I would try to persuade you to the disagree mark from the strongly disagree is we set standards and rules for society for a reason of disciplining ourselves on conversation and not attacking others for their own beliefs, and we set those. We do it and it's a pre-oppositional like standard that most humans have. Like, it's there whether you like it or not, Phil, and whether you recognize it or not. We say, hey, it's probably not a good idea to interrupt somebody, or maybe I shouldn't mute Phil in the middle of a good comment. Right?
fuck.
Man, it would be nice if you started. Man, God.
Did I persuade you?
All right.
Because I think that's a pretty good persuasion right there.
It's a great argument, but again, first of all, I don't see it as the most important thing for a child to learn. I could list off 20 things
It's not the most
that I find.
important.
Well, it says the most important thing for a
Yeah,
child
sure.
to learn is to accept discipline. And
Well, I
also,
disagree with it.
Yes, but I strongly disagree because again, like you heard my stance on child rearing over this particular podcast. So the idea that you better fucking accept discipline, little one, that's the important thing out of this interaction. To me, there's so
more.
many more things that
Learning
you
to
can
be
fill
a
that young
good human
mind.
being.
It's like a sponge absorbing information. So many much better things you could fill it with. So I'm going to stick with strongly disagree.
Teaching a kid how to become a decent human being should be the most important thing. And discipline
That's
doesn't
not
necessarily
necessarily
have
discipline.
to be spanking. Discipline
right.
can come in the form of a timeout. So I think
This
it's a
is
little
a
more
never-
broad than that.
This is a never-ending argument.
No,
This is
that's
fine.
fine. Move along. Move along.
There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures.
Disagree.
I strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree. This
That's
is in
fine.
keeping with the idea that everybody's got the capacity to be angels and demons. Demons like company. So
There you
I'm going to go
Well
with the
said.
strongly disagree. So
Right.
those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. If it was, I put strongly agree because if you're able to work and just don't fucking want to, like
That's how it's proposed on here. I agree.
that's
strongly
really
agree.
that's really laboring someone's charity if you can work and you refuse to.
I would pick strongly agree, but I think there are situations where
Somebody's given the opportunity to have a job and get pay for it that they are able to do and still refuse to do it.
I think I'm not going to get into it here, but I
No,
think
that
you
was
can-
pretty direct.
Yeah, that's fine, but
That's
I'm not
the
going to get
question.
into it on here.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just telling you, my answer is agree. That's
a
fine.
fucking very direct goddamn question. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, it
Moving
is,
on.
and I agree.
We can't-
and it would
we
most
can't
I
move,
would pick a strongly
Tony.
agree. I would pick a strongly agree, but I can think of a few scenarios where there would be a very minute, reasonable choice for an exception to that.
Name
and I'm
one.
not into it. I'm not going to get it. I already said
Okay.
I'm picking agree. Oh, I didn't agree enough. God,
I
dang it.
am gonna
Gosh
mark
darn
this
it.
I know you
down.
son
I'm
of
gonna
a
mark
bitch.
this down for a future topic with a number 2 pencil.
You do that.
When, next
Okay.
Guess
When
what?
you-
Guess what I'll do? Guess what I'll do? I'll use my eraser.
one. Oh, nice. We'll get into that later. That's a little nuance behind the scenes. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with your with more cheerful things.
Strongly disagree. This is stupid.
Well, tell us how you really feel there, Tony G. I
did.
put a light, soft agree, because when I'm having hard times, I usually find it better to distract myself with, like, I'll start farming, I'll work on something, I'll just go out to one of the fields and just kind of walk around and do some digging, look how the seeds are coming along. So it's the soft agree, but a very, very soft agree. And I could be persuaded, but it sounds like Tony's just like, nope, fuck that. I just think this is dumb.
No, Phil, I agree with you. I put a soft disagree with it for the same sentiments of, but I don't know. I don't get too emotional about things, so it's easy for me to just block shit out and just.
I know we're trying to speak, but Tony, why is it that you strongly disagree with that? I'm just curious. No right or wrong.
It's the equivalent of ignoring problems, bottling things up, and for a lot of people, unfortunately, doing that leads to people melting down. It leads to long-term, incurable depression, and there's better ways of dealing with it. If you ignore a problem long enough, it becomes and it snowballs into something much, much larger. You've got to deal with some emotional problems. Problems in general head on. You've got to deal with it, otherwise it's going to overcome you. It's going to overtake who you are. That's why psychology and therapy are such big important things in today's society. Hell, just the other day we had on Disney Plus, I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie with the fucking little emotions like happy, sadness, anger, disgust. I keep. Yeah, no, not the emo. Is like Inside Out or something like that.
Yes.
That's it.
I took my daughter.
Nope.
I'm sitting there watching that movie and like I'm like, fuck me. These Pixar movies hit so much harder when you're a fucking adult with kids. Like I'm sitting there like, damn, that's some real shit right there. The whole premise of that movie was, the happiness emotion was always the one taking full charge and had control of everything. And as soon as sadness started influencing things just a little bit, happiness lost its shit and it created a big, big problem. But by the end of the movie, sadness and happiness kind of found a happy medium, and we were allowed to be sad because it ended up to us being a happier person. So that is why I picked strongly disagree.
Fair enough. I mean, if you're going to use Inside Out as a precedent, which, oh man, yeah, that one got you right. When the imaginary friend sacrificed himself, I was there in the theater.
Yep.
Not a goddamn dry eye in the theater. There was grown men, middle-aged men, wiping tears from their eyes when the child's imaginary friend sacrificed himself to save the child. My God, that's good script writing. Okay, moving on.
Beautiful.
Jesus.
Fuck the rest of this. This is just now the Inside Out Appreciation Podcast.
First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their
strongly
disagree.
Country.
I strongly disagree as well.
Lived experience has proved it otherwise to me.
Yes.
So,
there you go.
All right.
What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for us all.
Disagree.
I slightly agree.
Now, Tony, this is going to really shock you. I went with strongly agree. I know, I'm shocking you there. But like I said earlier, and I actually used this argument a little earlier, when Microsoft began its spread across the world, you cannot argue anything otherwise than the company Microsoft left the world better than it found it. We now have We now have computer processors in every house. These giant corporations actually making the products that we need that actually improve the quality of our lives actually is, like it or not, what's best for us. I mean, the fact that we're sitting here on Bill Gates' baby, more or less.
Yeah,
computers on an internet. So yeah, it's just computers on an internet. That was Bill Gates' baby. We're all living in the world he created for us. And now what was best for Bill?
All about to get his vaccine.
All right.
Yep,
See,
there you go. There you fucking go. Way to fucking prove the point otherwise, bud. I picked disagree because we have absolutely no weighing of what Phil said is true because we can't peek into an alternate reality. We can assume that he's right. We can appreciate that he's right in a sense that we don't know anything other than the point he just made because we can't know. Maybe there was another corporation. Maybe there was another business or small businesses that would have popped up that achieved the same goal, but we have no fucking way of knowing that. So it's just a soft disagree.
Okay. Next one.
I promise to use my powers for good, not evil. Don't worry. All right.
No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding.
Strongly agree.
This is a tough one for me.
You would take fucking public funding in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Well, no. So here, yeah. Well, maybe I would, but
NPR YouTube.
Here's how I see it: is if you strictly go with the private funding, that's what you get today, right? It's the world we live in. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, NPR, RT, you name it. They're all like RT's the state sponsored one, unofficially, like in quotations, if you believe what everybody tells you. But most of these are privately funded, and Bloomberg, like Bloomberg named his news company after himself. And then he went to run for president. So there's way too much private funding and private influence in our broadcasting institutions when it leads to news. And I get broadcasting institution can have a wide variety. And so that's why I don't want to go with a strongly either way on here, but I'm fucking caught in the middle on this one.
Yeah. I just picked an agree.
How many millions of dollars does George Soros fucking put into this?
Yeah, I went with strongly disagree because, I mean, for fuck's sake, NPR doesn't even need to run a telethon drive. They receive so much money from public fundings, but yet here they are wasting our airtime with such things. So to me, I don't think there should be public fundings for broadcasting institutions. There's such a wide dearth of available content today that there's really no reason a taxpayer needs to fund it dime one.
Okay.
So I went with
Moving along.
Next page.
Finally, here we go. We're on the downhill slope, guys. I think we can get through this one fairly quickly.
These actually do go a lot faster.
Yeah, I remember the last couple pages went zippo fast. So, all right.
Go ahead, Tony.
Oh,
I don't care.
Right.
Phil's got it. Phil's got it.
Civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Not only strongly agree, but if there was one below that said, fuck yeah, I'd click on that. So, yes,
Yep,
I'm
strongly agree.
Agreed.
Here's an interesting one. Just agree. We don't think you sufficiently agree enough, chicken.
On what? What are you talking about?
Did you strongly agree or disagree?
I strongly agreed with that.
Okay, all right.
Jesus.
We were getting a little
suspicious
here. Okay.
Hey, you jumped on my ass. I'm going to do it back.
This is an interesting one. This one could go any way. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Boy, howdy. That's a fucking mouthful and a brainful, ain't it? So, guys,
that question sucks ass.
Oh, it does. It's awkwardly worded. It's fucking way broad. It could be interpreted in like 6 different ways. But the way I interpret it, I'm going strongly disagree because I just don't like it.
I'm gonna strongly disagree on the political structure of it. So what this is proposing is that they want you to have this preposition that this system's already in place and that the one party state's already there. That's the problem with the question, is you have to agree that there's a one party state. Am I wrong?
It pushes the idea that if we had a one party state, there'd be no conflict. So the question itself.
Right. So
disagree.
It's not a democratic political system if there's a one party
Right.
state. It's this weird conundrum
Yeah.
in the question is
Paradox.
stupid.
Yeah, just disagree.
Strongly disagree.
All right. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need be worried. I
Strongly
strongly
disagree.
Strongly disagree.
All right, now, guys, this next one here, I'm going to give you the question, and then I'm going to give you my torn thoughts on it, because I am very much of two minds on this, and this is one I can be persuaded on either way. So,
Soft agree.
the death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes.
I
reason-
agree.
I do the soft agree. For the most egregious, and I like you
Okay, this guy goes on a killing spree, admits it. Hell, we saw it on live Facebook video. He's clearly a piece
Not
of
even
shit.
that.
He's clearly demented. He will clearly do it again. Hell, if we put him in prison, he'll probably do it in prison. Yep.
not
Yeah.
even that. I'm thinking like,
Yeah, all right, I understand.
I'm thinking more of the Osama bin Ladens of the world. I'm thinking
What? Oh, shit.
know,
yeah, there
like-
you go.
the worst of the worst. Just yeah. All right. Like
But, all right, but hear me out here. Now, again, this is just my inner libertarian streak, and it's practicality versus principle here. And this is why I'm just bouncing this off of you guys is, yes, in a practical sense, getting rid of the worst among us is a very practical move. But as a
not against the
libertarian,
purge.
I'm having a hard there is no greater concession that one can make that the government owns you and you are property of the government than the government having the complete and unilateral right to dispose of you as it sees fit. And that is why I wrestle with the death penalty so much.
I get your argument, but
You see
I take mine more beyond local. I think it's worldwide. I think some people just need to die.
Well, that's self-defense, and that's a basic right of every human being. And it's kind of interesting when people
so
say
for me,
life-
it's
all
not a
life is
justice.
precious. It's not that we don't believe all life is precious. It's not. Nobody actually believes all life is precious if you believe in the concept of self-defense.
So when you read the question, the death penalty should be an option for the most serious of crimes. It leads you into the justice system, but that's not how I read it. I think death penalty and serious crimes can be more personal than that. I don't think it has to go through the justice system necessarily every time. So I agree with it. I think some people just have to die in certain circumstances.
Good enough.
So you're looking at it as an even potential revenge scenario, not just legal.
No,
system.
not a revenge scenario. I'm thinking I'm sitting in my office right now podcasting. If I heard a gunshot and I found out that my family member was in harm because somebody broke into my house, he gets a death penalty because he committed a crime because he walked into my house.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's a much wider. You know what? If that's how you look at it, and again, my instinct is to agree, but I'm just letting you guys know this. It's a principled argument that was given to me about 8-9 years ago, and I've been wrestling with it ever since. So I think that might be one worth diving in deeper onto another show, guys. That's just my thought, but I'm going to go with a soft agree.
Perfect. In that case, let's go to the next. I like this one. It's an easy one. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all.
Did we miss the?
No, we skipped one. We skipped one.
Oh, you're right. I did. My mistake.
In a civilized society, One must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Strongly disagree. I've actually been a adamant reader of anarcho-capitalist theory. I don't personally subscribe to the theory, but it is interesting to read. And so, yes, in theory, there is actually potential for societies that are not the same hierarchical structures that we understand. So,
I disagree. Not to the extent that you do, Phil. I think an eventual hierarchy does present itself with eventual leaders and people that move things forward. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but that is human nature. When you look at Occupy Wall Street, for example, they had no leadership. They had no one person in charge of anything, and it crumbled quickly. Like that's the most recent example. There's been other examples of it. We're watching it right now in Seattle as well. We'll see how that plays out. But I disagree with the statement for the same reasons, but I think eventually hierarchy does present itself and leaders do come out of the mold no matter what.
oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I'm just proposing that these hierarchies will be structured different than any way that we could really possibly fathom. And the idea that it's orders that will be obeyed by the underlings, when we already have examples of private sector interactions that are completely voluntary, but there's still people that are the deciders. So I could see our hierarchies changing in a way that we couldn't even recognize. And so that's why I took my pick.
All right, Tony.
All right.
I picked agree, and I think it's pretty easy to explain why. Not just in civilized society, but all society. Hell, across the entire food chain. You look at any documentary or fucking show on Animal Planet or Discovery, and you pretty much see the pecking order emerge. Something always takes that top rung. Something among the masses is established as far as the ones being commanded. It's not just a human trait. It's a living organism trait. It's just kind of how it works. It's an unspoken thing.
All right, let's move through this. We're only allowed so much time on these podcasts. We're 2.5 hours in already, so we only get an hour and a half left. We got to answer this shit and get through this.
Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Well, the whole concept of fucking art is that it's supposed to represent something. So if you're just throwing a piece of shit at the wall and saying, it's art. No, it's not fucking art. So I agree.
I put agree as well for almost the same sentiment. There is unintentional abstract art that actually does represent things sometimes to personal appeal and opinion. So otherwise, I would strongly agree.
There you go.
I strongly disagree. You're saying that masterpieces of Jaspin Pollock aren't art? I like that.
They don't represent anything.
Maybe we're representing modern. We're talking modern art. So
things that are so abstract that the five senses cannot even fully grasp them. So to me, I've been to abstract art galleries. I've known abstract artists, and to me, I strongly disagree with the idea that abstract art isn't art.
Okay.
It's not saying abstract art isn't art. It's saying abstract art that doesn't represent anything. You're telling me that Jackson Pollock didn't have a vision in mind when he picked his colors or he picked his methods of how he went about creating the art. I disagree with that sentiment.
So, I mean, yeah, you can't try to squeeze inspiration into a tiny box like that.
Even if there wasn't a grand picture, maybe it came together afterwards. That's all I'm saying.
This is going to go nowhere.
Yeah. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation.
I
disagree. not a strong disagree, just disagree.
Mhm.
Rehabilitation
Well,
should
disagree.
be the ultimate
It's
goal.
important.
But the next one, it's a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. Strongly agree. There's some Charles Manson
It's
wasn't
a
going to
waste
be.
of time to try to rehabilitate some
Yep.
criminals.
Yep.
I'm with you. guys.
Charles Manson
Right.
wasn't going to be rehabilitated. He was going to sit there and be a smarmy little fucking ass every day of his fucking life until the day his miserable fucking corpse was put in the fucking clay. So that was,
Good enough.
yeah, you weren't going to read. So what was your, I would disagree, chicken, disagree, or no, strongly agree. I won't strongly agree. Tony, what'd you go with?
Agree.
Chicken.
Strongly agree.
All right.
The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist.
Strongly
I-
agree. Fight me.
Wow. I
Disagree.
disagree because I think it's more culture. So Phil, like I
Phil just
get
talked about Jackson Pollock for fuck's sake, and now he's going to strongly agree.
I know. Here's
what?
where I'm.
Manufacturer built the canvas and the fucking paint and the goddamn brush that Pollock had to use. We
Put it-
are
He didn't
Put it-
have
put it
to
down.
use that.
Put it down for a minute. Put it down for a minute.
manufacturers and industrialists, and we don't even fucking know.
From my experience in business and managing not only people, merchandise, sales, profits, like I'm pulling a lot of things together in my business, and I tell you the number one most impactful thing to move business forward is not good marketing schemes. They play a role. It's not good merchandising. That does play a role. It's all these little things play roles. You know what the number one driving force and factor in business is? Building a good culture. And I think writers, artists, influencers on that side of especially when it comes to it, Phil, you look at the hierarchy of things. Being an executive, you probably don't give two shits about art. Maybe you buy it, look at it, and be like, that's pretty, it's expensive, and I like it. But the people that really appreciate art, culture, and today's economy at the lowest levels are the people that are building business. So that's my argument. The business person should pay more attention to the writer and the artist and what's going on socially across the world to build your business, because if you want to change your culture within your physical store, business, or how you want to run operations, you have to be culturally relevant and make sure you're taking care of your people, because business is 90% people. Prove me wrong.
I understand what you're saying, but in your own argument, you're stating that the writer and the artist are there to augment and to soothe the business. The only reason that they are there is they are serving at the pleasure of the business that's actually paying them and giving them their wage. And
However,
so,
the business does not choose them. The employees do.
what do you mean by that?
So you're implying that the artist can be chosen by the employer. It can't. The employees choose their artists. Think of rap music. Think of just any cultural thing going on right now. Your employees choose their culture. You have no control over that.
Okay. I thought you were talking within the company, like you're talking like a company writer that writes the company newspaper or something. So, okay, we're talking much broader. I understand that, but even then, they're only doing this to further their own business, their own corporations, their own manufacturing. So I
have to incorporate that.
The microphone, this thing we're talking into, manufactured by a businessman, so that the rapper, the poet, the author, the speech, the linguist can all get their message out. And it was all thanks to a businessman that if he didn't get off his sluff and get it done that day, none of them would have got shit out and no one would know who any of them were. So that's how I look at it.
Who inspires them to keep going to work every day, though?
Hang on. All right.
To quote Stone Cold
Time.
Steve Austin, my motivation comes from within.
Okay, guys, I gotta do one of these because you guys are going fucking ape shit with this one. I can't believe we spent this much time on it. Let me just end it quickly. I think the business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist to specific people, and that's why I'm gonna disagree. It depends on who you are. So let's move on.
Love it.
Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Disagree.
I put strongly disagree because I think it's offensive. Honestly, I do.
I think they can be if they want to be, and if they don't have to be. That's why I disagree.
Exactly.
Yeah, it depends on the personality. There are some women that can actually juggle that without much issue, and then there's some that really can't. It's just like any other tapestry of humanity. But yeah, like it just depends on the person, really.
There you go.
But yeah, everything's a trade-off in life. You spend too much time in one thing, you're not going to be able to do another, though. Good show, guys. Well, thank you for stopping by, Jeffrey, and trust me, the last bit, that's the main event, sir. That's the best part. So we'll save some of that good stuff for you to check out tomorrow. So, all right, moving right along. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. As a farmer, I'm just going to say strongly disagree, because the plant genetic resources, if they're talking about anything that I think they're talking about, the seeds that are coming in are patented products that came from another side of the fucking earth. So I just... yeah, I'm gonna strongly disagree with that one.
I put disagree. One thing, because I'm uneducated on the topic. But it just sounds like horseshit to me. So I don't know.
I don't like the way it feels like a very narrative derivative question. So
yes,
out of necessity, I picked disagree.
All right, next one. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I disagree.
Yeah, I figured.
Tony, how much do you agree with this?
Just slightly.
Oh, just slightly. Okay. I strongly disagree with this.
No.
Yeah, making peace with the established order. The only thing established about the establishment is that it's constantly being turned over. So
I've got one for you.
What I'm finding is the more I drink, the more I agree with Phil, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, no, I've known that for a long time. But let me make my argument. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Well, Chicken used to be a liberal. Next question.
Brutal, fucking brutal. Like that's up there. Well done.
Okay,
team.
well, Tony, read and answer this one.
Astrology accurately explains many things. It depends on the fucking question you're asking. Like, hey, what constellation is that? Well, that's clearly Orion. Well, that explained that question.
That's astronomy. Okay? Astrology is the fucking, you're a Pisces, so that means that you're going to be eating chili dogs and letting shit slide. Like, no, that's what, astronomy is the science. Astrology.
I know. We're talking about space and time influencing who you are as a character.
Right. Let's move on.
Understand
that was a silly question.
But what did you pick?
Strongly disagree.
I just picked disagree.
What about astrology? What about what are you? Are you a Capricorn? Are you Sagittarius?
Are you really shocked that the guy with the ghost hunting podcast is only going to lightly disagree?
Phil, I
which
ghost
Grip,
hunt
and
with
tell-
this gentleman.
Yes,
and
I will be. And Grip, check it out on YouTube, by the way. And the King of
Hang on,
Extreme.
let me pop the banner up.
No,
there
no,
we
fair
go.
enough.
Yes,
There,
the King of
there
Extreme
you
will
go.
be joining this
June 19th.
particular ghost hunt. But I strongly disagree.
Tony's got a ghost hunt coming up, June 19th.
So-
and
fucking
I've
great.
participated in this, and I do have supernatural beliefs and everything, but astrology? Do you like? Have
It's
you?
in the same hemisphere.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is. How do you fucking
Okay.
know it's not? You can't.
Before
know
we
it's not.
okay. All right, let's bring it in. We will debate the ethereal on the way to the place. Okay.
There you
All right.
go.
You cannot be moral without being religious.
Strongly
Strongly
disagree.
disagree. Some of the most moral people that I've ever met in my life were complete strong atheists. So
Bingo.
So that's here's an interesting one. Charity is better than Social Security as a means to help the genuinely disadvantaged. As someone that's seen church charities in action and how they actually do very much target the people that actually do, I would strongly agree that it's actually much, especially when you have any kind of government institution, there's going to be so much taken off along the way that, you know,
Yeah.
for every dollar that's actually given, you're probably going to get like 20 cents to where it's actually meant to go. So yes, I have noticed that private charities do help. Now it's not everything, but I do say it is better at targeting the very specific people that need the most help in the moment.
I put agree because there's abuse in it.
There you go.
As with all in life.
With everything, and Phil, that's fair. There's always going to be abuse in it. But I think they're both imperfect. So strongly agreeing would say that that's a perfect statement, and that's the way we should go. And I think both of them are imperfect, and both could improve. So
I think you both pretty much hit on why I picked agree, and let's just leave it at that.
Here's an interesting one. Some people are naturally unlucky.
Agree.
Jiggin?
strongly disagree.
I'm gonna
Wait.
split the-
Some people are naturally
unlucky.
so the fun dichotomy of this is you could put some people are naturally lucky. And
Yep.
what response would you get?
Yep.
That's fun. That's
It's a
fun.
stupid question.
It
That's
is.
why I picked agree, because I've just seen people that, like, no matter how hard they try, they fall flat on their face.
Well, the
The flip
question
side
is,
of
do you
that
believe
is
in
the
luck?
people that shouldn't have any luck, that suck at life, end up just getting the free handout for no good fucking reason. So it's one of those weird things about the world and the way life works that sometimes
it's posed in a way to like get an emotional reaction of a negative feeling.
Yep.
But the fun thing is that do you believe in luck? Like, that's the real question.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why
a bad question.
I'm splitting the difference between the two of you, and I'm just going with a very soft disagree because, you know, I've played poker with some guys that do seem to be awful unlucky, or maybe it's just because I'm so fucking awesome at the table.
It's not that. It's not
probably
that.
well, you know,
It's
it
not
is
that.
that. But
So then, okay, so you've seen it firsthand. That's why I'm saying why would you pick disagree? Because I guarantee all of us, whether we want to admit it or not, have seen people who are, for lack of a better term, naturally unlucky. And the flip side of that, we've seen people who are just ridiculously lucky for no good goddamn reason. So that's why I'm picking agree, because there's no rhyme or reason or explanation for it in very specific cases.
I just don't like to call it luck.
That's fine. You don't have to like the question. It's just the result of the question
Sure.
and your reaction to it. And I'm picking agree.
Fair. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. I
Strongly
strongly
disagree.
disagree.
Fuck you, school. You're not. I want you to influence my child's social thinking as little as possible, to be frank.
All right. We're in agreement on that one. Finally, page 6, the last
Look at
handful of questions.
Sex. Sex questions.
Sex robots. Kevin, are you watching Sex
Kemen.
Talk
Robots?
about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and
Hang
me.
on. Riot, Biden, Trump, protest.
God damn, Bernadette.
Oh, Jesus.
Mm.
She's okay. Hold on. I wouldn't pay attention to anything in the chat, and then yes, so we
Sex
got it.
outside marriage is usually.
Boom.
I'm going to go with strongly disagree because across the entirety of human history, way more humans were conceived via being outside of marriage than inside, because marriage is only a 5,000 to maybe 12,000 year old concept.
Hang on. Yeah, so sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Strongly disagree. Marriage isn't even a concept amongst most species, so what the fuck?
I'm putting mine at disagree as I think about like this really comes down to cultural beliefs and religious values. And I have no right to impose that on anybody. I can argue it either way, but like I really do believe like if you think that you need to be married before sex, okay, cool, whatever. It's your decision. It's one of those things. Like I don't like to impose on that. Like I don't think it's immoral. I got married before we had our first kid. It doesn't mean we didn't have sex, but
Was it immoral sex?
everything I do is immoral. So I don't know.
I think immoral is so severely subjective in this context. It's not even remotely up for debate, in my opinion. Exactly.
All right.
Strongly disagree for me.
A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption.
Let's make this clear because the wording sucks. A same-sex couple is in a gay or lesbian couple.
It's saying that's okay.
Should be okay to adopt. Yes, a lesbian or gay couple should be allowed to adopt. That's my stance on it.
I'm gonna slight agree. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot to look into there. But overall, if it's like it says, a stable, loving relationship, there's nuance to go beyond that. So I'm a soft agree.
I'm strongly agreeing.
If it didn't have that caveat, I wonder how it would change people's perspective on this. But I'm going to go with just agree on it.
I'm not. I'm going strongly.
All right. That's fair.
I'm just going to temper that with what's really take your preconceived religious views or personal views out of it. What's better for a child, say a child up for adoption in a fucking foster home, getting bounced around to shitty foster homes, people manipulating the system just to get a paycheck, who have a plethora of kids that they're probably putting into slave work just to get that sweet government money and funding. Would you rather have them there, or would you rather see them with a loving family and home, not getting bounced around in an abusive situation? Like, come on, this isn't even an immoral question.
And so long as they're not getting abused, that's fine. That's really the only question that it boils down to is what's the level of abuse. And the only reason
stable, loving relationship.
Yes. So with that caveat, that's
easy for me.
You have to define it further. Of stable relationship and give me some.
Well, to me, there's no religious
bring me beyond the agree mark.
I think anything besides foster bullshit where they're being neglected or ignored and they actually have a chance at living in a loving environment. That
Sure,
it's
it
going to be
says
better
stable.
99 times out of 100, right?
So if it says stable, then I agree that it's probably a good situation. If it's a stable family home, same sex or not, stable
Yeah.
family home, that means they have income,
Right.
they have
There's an
rules,
infinite amount of nuance
they
we
have
could go into.
morals, they have values, they have school, they have every building block to
I think
raise
stable.
a child. I agree.
I think stable says it all in the question. Stable, loving. I think
We'll move
that's the precedent overall for me for anything. Stable and loving is really all a kid in that scenario wants, is stable and loving. They're not going to be picky. They're not going to give two shits about who it is that wants to fill that void, because it is a void. I don't think that they give two fucks.
To get me, okay, let's finalize this, because you're trying to get me to go to the strongly agree portion. To strongly agree, you have to tell me that this child growing up in the same sex culture is not going to be indoctrinated into any other type of thought processes or ideology that other people won't be. Can you
no
provide,
different.
You're afraid they're going to inject him with the gay.
No, not inject with the gay. The ideology sometimes.
These are jokes, people.
These are jokes. The ideology is not the same. Now, I'm not saying
house to house is never the same.
Exactly, and that's my point. House to house is not the same.
But at least there's an ideology and not just a fucking afterthought.
You can have a 2-male family or a 2-female, and they can have basic moral beliefs that are good and everything's fine. But then you can also have this crazy fucking ideology where you tell a 3-year-old that they can change their sex. That's my problem.
Okay.
That's out there.
No, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. But
yes.
I think the alternative in this scenario is they're being bounced from scenario to scenario that's not really a loving environment. It's just it's not prison, it's not jail, but it's not far off for a kid, because the foster system is.
So when you say strongly agree, you're saying that it's a perfect scenario, and I'm saying it's not a perfect scenario.
The question is worded stable and loving. In my opinion, stable and loving does not mean somebody who wants to push an agenda on a child who hasn't reached a maturity that they can make a decision like that.
It depends on which news channel you watch. Let's move on.
Well, you know what? They could fall into a foster home with some piece of shit that wants to push that same ideology that you're worried about. So it's really the same question.
CNN's been agreeable on changing sex of 3-year-olds.
We'll get into that in another fucking podcast, guys. Come on, save some of that for another episode.
We're almost through this, folks. We're almost through.
All right.
Almost through. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for adult population.
I strongly disagree. It's filthy. It's awful. It's the worst thing ever. Fuck you all. Strongly agree.
I want more sex robots, and that's all.
Yes.
The people versus Larry Flint. Strongly agree.
Okay, moving on.
It's a free speech issue.
We all strongly agree. What goes on in a private bedroom between 2 consenting adults is no business of the state.
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
I think that's pretty unanimous and pretty easy.
Private consenting, no questions asked. Strongly
Here's
agree.
A weird one.
No one can feel naturally homosexual.
What the fuck?
I'm gonna do a soft disagree, because I have no idea if a homosexual person feels naturally, or I don't even know what the fucking unnatural, like, what do they feel like their homosexuality comes from Dimension X or something? Like, I don't get what an unnatural, like, It's like Oscar Wilde said when he was going through his public trials, when people found out he was a homosexual, is that, in ancient Greece, my predilections would be viewed as quite normal. But it's simply now that you view me as some sort of deviant and outside the bounds. So I put a very soft disagree because I'm not a homosexual and I have no way of knowing what they're thinking on this particular topic. So this is a question that relies on mind reading, and I don't like mind reading questions.
I think that most homosexuals would say that they are homosexual because it feels natural. I think that's the whole argument for it. So my initial knee-jerk reaction to this very awful worded question is strongly disagree, but I'm gonna pick disagree because of the way that this question is just ridiculously generalized. I don't like the way they word the question. Otherwise, I think if you worded it better, it'd be a strongly disagree. And I think that's kind of what Phil was alluding to.
Yeah, Tony, I think me and you are spot on that one. The last one, these days, openness
this one's hard.
About sex has gone too far. I strongly disagree. Well, no, I'm going to move to disagree because just because of the internet shit has gone fucking
This one's
wild.
hard. This one's hard.
I'm okay with openness of sex to many degrees, to a lot of degrees. When you start inflicting onto children, I just hard no, stop it. But dude, let your freak flag fly. I don't care. I really don't. Your openness to sex, let your freak flag fly. But when you hit a certain age, fuck off. Like there's a wall.
Me personally, this is a really tough question because I agree with what you're saying. Like, nobody should be ashamed of their kinks or what turns them on, unfortunately, to a certain extent, because, again, very, very unfortunately, there are portions of society that their kinks and their turn-ons are not natural or acceptable. And because we're part of the human race and we are top of the food chain because we have reached an enlightened state of mind. And I think that's important when looking at this question, because openness about sex for a long time, there was no openness about it. We ignored it. We pretended it wasn't a thing. We finally got to a point where we were able to talk about sex as a natural thing, because in the animal kingdom, sex is the most natural thing. It's the most natural thing you can do because it furthers your species. It furthers your development. It is the most basic function of life other than breathing air or breathing water if you're a goddamn fish through your gills. Sex is what makes life work. But like you just mentioned, openness about parts of sex and kinks and fetishes and dirty stuff is very, very readily available to people who aren't ready to process that information. So that is why I have, strangely enough, a soft agree.
I'm going with a soft disagree because I think it's a good idea for more people to understand biology, physiology, and the functions of their own body, and to know that there are consequences, and sex is a big people's game that makes real people.
Agreed.
So I'm a soft decline, soft disagree. I think there is room for greater education, and I mean, people were, like you said, Tony, they were ashamed of their bodies and they didn't talk about it. And I remember, I know it's strange, but when Hugh Hefner was being eulogized, I remember one person said that when he first came onto the scene, women were told to cover up their bodies and that they should be ashamed of it and that it's a shameful thing. And after Hugh Hefner, their bodies are glorified and beautiful things for all the world to see. So in that regard, Mr. Hefner, thank you. You left the world better than you found it. And so that was his eulogy. And so that's how I kind of view, so that's why it's a soft disagree. And Chicken, I have sent my compass results to you. And again, I'm a little worried. I'm a little too far to the left on this one. Practically a pinko commie.
So, Tony, I hope you answered as we were going along there, because I think we swayed you on a couple, and it may have changed your previous compass.
Sending it to you now.
Mine has changed as well. So I was surprised. Mine changed a lot, but I knew drinking mine would change just because that's what I do.
Sent to your messenger. Go ahead. Do your worst.
We'll pull them up here shortly, but folks, if you want to take this, politicalcompass.org, you can go through, do all these same questions. I really do recommend everybody not only taking this. This to me has been fascinating. I took this
fun
on my own, and now we took it together as a group. And I actually listened to Tony and Phil's persuasions on here, and it's interesting because I thought I gave in to a couple of.
I did a side by side of my results. I'd like to see your side by side.
I can probably do that. Jesus, you're putting me on the spot here.
Sorry.
I can give some side by sides. I'm sure I can. I'm trained to do all this while talking.
I'll make a side by side for Phil.
Asshole.
No. The point I want to make is it's really fascinating to me how my opinion changed when I'm by myself, thinking critically with no influence, and then sitting here talking to two good pals and hearing their insight and going, you know what, you might be right. So,
well, there's different issues that we don't read the question the same way, and we don't have as much insight into. So it helps to have people that you can trust and people that you actually listen to take their insight and rattle that around in your head before answering a most of the time poorly worded question, because unfortunately that's how politics works. We answer the questions we don't fully understand. So having that crutch, having that support system to understand the important questions that this thing puts forward before you answer the question sometimes does help in the long run.
No, that's fair. Oh God, I gotta get control over the cameras. There we go.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is just really get this gorgeous mug on the. So while you guys get all that together, folks, like, share, and subscribe. Not only here at Big Bucket Entertainment, which is where you get the best fusion of entertainment and information, right here. Like, share, subscribe. Also, come on over to KOE Nation on YouTube, Phil KOE on Facebook, and check out my latest happenings of all the craziness that goes on in the life there. Also, go over to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast to check out the great, great work of me and one Tony G. And also, coming up soon, the 19th, Phil KOE invades the ethereal as he joins Tony G for a ghost hunt. Now,
we need
Tony.
We need a GIF image that just kind of rattles through all the icons.
I told you guys to make promos.
We'll get there. But
that's okay.
So,
this weekend, I'm going to give you a promo right now. This weekend, Tony, look behind your right shoulder.
Yes. Talk about it. It's mine.
That is coming home, motherfucker.
I'm still
to Castle
Tony
KOE, you mean, motherfuckers. I am taking that title. Like I told Tony in the text, what's going to happen is I'm going to win it with a paper ballot, A bald eagle will land on my shoulder. The entire town, we will all together sing the Star-Spangled Banner, and they will all remember the day that a paper ballot saved America. So that's all. That's all. So, all right, now
Got the
guys,
paper ballot.
Appreciate it, Bernie. And thanks for tuning in.
you don't want to stay for the results? All right.
All
right.
Let's get to the results.
We're 3 hours in. Let's fucking cap this old yeller with the
That's
fucking
all?
results. That's why they're here. We could have
All
gone
right.
6.
Tony, explain.
The one on the left is tonight, and the one on the right was the one I did on my own a few day or so ago.
So we moved you 2,
Dead center.
3 full squares to the right and 1 down.
Fence sitting motherfucker. We literally got you to sit on the fucking fence. Oh my God. I can't fucking, but Tony, you talked yourself into even more moderation. I don't know how you did it.
No, you did that, Phil. You did that.
Yes, I did that. My persuasions where I thought I'll bring him over to the right side. No, I just put you on the fucking
Right where I wanted to be.
well.
Thanks, Phil.
Yes. Fucking Jesus. So Tony, the eternal moderate, literally sitting, literally straddling the fence between left and fucking right.
As it
Literally. You're just slightly down on the libertarian side a little bit. Not by too much though, because that'd be a little crazy. But other than that, you're literally in the middle of the left and the fucking right. My God. So all right, chicken.
Oh, I
This
gotta
is the next one.
I gotta get Phil's pulled up. Tony, can you do the same thing for mine?
Now,
Because
now, Tony, I do apologize, guys. I was way too far to the left on this. Basically a pinko commie leftist Antifa member by my scores here. I'm a little concerned. I'm starting to
Chicken,
sneak
send me a
little too-
screenshot of yours.
oh shit.
So I'm looking forward to showing it so people finally understand what I'm talking about here. But and this is the problem when you're not the Jamie of the show. That's too bad. But
Yeah, right.
folks, I do apologize. But what I did find out is that I am actually pretty close to Milton Friedman. Nothing to apologize for that for. But I do apologize. But yes, like Atlas himself, I will hold up this podcast and I will keep us going with all the amazing entertainment that is the King of Extreme. So, Chicken, you got a graphic for us, sir?
I'm pulling it up. Here we go. So Tony, you'll have to let me know which one is before and after.
I'll be able to tell you. I looked at him. The one that's a little down lower, closer to libertarian, is the
Tonight.
newest one this evening. Yep. So the one on the right. So, like I said, guys and gals, I'm a little worried. I'm sneaking a little bit too far to the left there. I
Yeah.
How dare
Man.
you?
You just
Damn,
dropped
dude.
a little bit. That's it.
Yeah,
But
I
think you were
dropped
a
down
little further
closer
right.
to libertarian.
You
No,
were
I'm
closer to
straight.
the right.
I'm as far to the right as I think that test will let you go. And I went down a
Disagree.
little further. Oh, man. So, I know, Tony, you're really shocked to hear that I'm about as far right as can be measured by computers and science.
So let's take a look at mine. Apparently, I'm pretty influenced when I'm drinking, especially. Whenever I take this independently with nobody around, sober, I always end up right around the same spot, which is the picture that you see on the left. But as we went through our discussion tonight and I answered those questions, I actually went up one notch on authoritarian and went way right on conservatism.
So, wait, the one on the right is tonight?
Yes.
Tony, I'm pulling him closer to the conservative side. Farther from that fence.
It'll be
Welcome.
fun for me to wake up in the morning, sit in the garage, take it again, and be like, nope, I'm back in the middle.
No, chicken. I just got a couple, 2-3 more political compass persuasion sessions to go through you, and
No,
you'll
all
be
you have to
all
do,
the way
Phil,
over to the right with me.
is keep giving me some really good scotch, and you
Yep,
have
good
a
scotch.
right-wing libertarian coming your way.
So that's what we discovered is more scotch the further right chicken goes.
Yes, apparently.
That's pretty funny. That's
I've
pretty
known
funny.
that for a long time. Like that wasn't a secret. I don't know why this is a revelation.
hippy until you get me drinking.
So the reason you're a Republican is because you drink scotch a lot nowadays?
No, because I shut shit down when I'm drinking. I
Wait,
don't want
wait.
drama.
What the fuck? Why is Nancy Pelosi so fucking left then?
Oh my God, we're not.
Ouch. Yeah, that girl's drinking her freaking hand sanitizer, allegedly. But, my God. So, chicken, I pulled you further to the right side. Tony, you somehow, some way, I'm like Jeff Goldblum, like, son of a bitch, he did it. Like, I don't know
Thank
how,
you.
but live on air, you somehow landed even further on the fence. You fence-sitting motherfucker. I don't know how you did it.
Exactly where I wanted to be.
You're
So-
0.38 to the right. That's like barely, like you barely even qualify.
So Phil, the way I see this is okay. The right picture is what Tony did prior. Am I correct?
Yes.
So Phil, you moved him to the right.
Which is where I wanted to be anyway.
I mean,
If
I'll take the small
right.
victories, but as you can see, it's taken years for me to get him just a little bit to the right. So,
But
absolutely.
Tony,
this-
without any influence, is barely a libertarian leftist.
No, let's put it this way. I think it comes down to those questions where you don't fully grasp the levity of it. You don't fully grasp just exactly how poorly it's worded, how grand it's worded, and you need the people to kind of reel you in and explain it perfectly for you to understand it. And that's where this is. Because once that was done, you can see where I land on the scale. And that's exactly where I felt like I land. Like in the middle, lean a little bit right. Because before I'm like,
Now-
I told you guys before the other day before I took it, it's going to tell me I'm a liberal. And sure enough,
Tony-
not as much as I thought, but it put me there.
How much of that is because we all fill them out in certain ways when we're by ourselves? How much of it is that? And how much of it is, oh, fuck, I'm on this podcast here with Phil, and he's a giant businessman asshole, and I better go from strongly agree to just agree on a couple of them. I wonder if that might have done any. Did I
No.
influence you all in that way? Okay.
No,
So,
actually,
then it
the
was-
ones that you were most adamant about changing my mind on, those are the ones I didn't change on.
Well, yeah, because you just
out
didn't
of
want to move there.
rebellion.
Yeah,
No, because
just-
for 2 days we've been arguing on the group chat, and I didn't want to give you a fucking inch.
yeah, God, it's like after a couple of those, like, whoo, that's a pretty neat barb there. So, T, we still on for Backlash this weekend?
Oh, I gotta get my belt back. Yes, and we're on for Backlash.
I might be taking that belt after I win it. I might be taking it to the ghost place, Tony. Just be like, now, granted, you might be ethereal,
Place.
but are you the champion and the king of extreme? I didn't think so. So, yes, Tony, I will cut a promo on the ethereal. You will see it happen, folks.
You son
Now
of a
Tony's
bitch.
regretting inviting me. Tony's really regretting inviting me. Like, uh-oh. And those are the best memories, folks. So, as I'm known to say around here, chicken, may I?
Wait. Phil, was there something you needed pulled up?
Oh, you're an asshole, chicken. Jamie, you want to pull that up here? online voting system used in Florida and Ohio
Wait.
to alter votes
What the-
without detection, researchers found.
Okay, I'm sorry. The masks at the top of that were
Sorry, I had to
Beautiful.
clear them out.
Really nice. I was
An
about to say,
online
those are
voting
stylish.
system used in Florida and Ohio can be hacked to alter votes without detection, researchers found.
Chicken, you're such an asshole. I wasn't gonna, Tony. I swear I wasn't gonna go here, but we're here.
You asked him
So-
specifically off air to do this. I'm positive, but that's fine.
If it came up, Chicken said, "Nah, all right." Chicken's going
Make
into
sure
business for himself on this one.
comes up, you son of a bitch.
So we talked about this weeks ago. So maybe we'll end the episode on this as a prelude to a future episode. Online voting, current voting, mail-in voting. Tony and I agree. Today's voting system is just redonkulous.
Archaic.
It's archaic. It's dumb. Something should improve. However, Phil has brought to light several examples of why we should just keep writing it down. And after 175, yes, I counted, fellas, 175 message thread, I found out Tony fucking hates number 2 pencils. And I quit
Despises
reading.
them.
I just stopped reading after a certain point, but it was very entertaining. Maybe we'll make an episode just reading that.
I think
thread.
episode 45 has to be the political voting system. Like that's
Does it?
that's probably our topic next. But I think right here, right now, let's make that our topic next Wednesday night. Episode 45, voting.
As a preview, folks, I'm gonna say Tony and I, good friends. We've had a lot of
you.
ups and downs. Mostly,
Fuck you. He just-
wow. All right, fuck you too, motherfucker.
He goes, we're
What the
good
fuck?
friends. We've had ups and downs. Tony goes, fuck you.
Fuck you. Well, fuck
I love you.
Piece of
I love
shit who
you.
stole my RXW title. Fucking under a mask.
the
you fucking
RWP.
asshole. I'm stealing that back this weekend, so I don't even know. But
Okay.
anyways,
both. That's
you
mine.
fucking asshole.
You
I was
are
about to
mine.
say, I think it's interesting that of over all the years of all the topics, paper ballots and fucking online voting and its improvements is the fucking topic me and Tony have gone to the fucking mat over. I don't know how or why, but this just became the topic we went to the mat
know
over.
why.
So our next episode, folks, tune
I know why.
in because me and Tony gonna have this one out one last time. The
I
main
know
event.
why.
This is the cage match version of this debate. This is the last time.
Ask me. Ask me.
Why?
I know why.
Why?
Well, it's because you're so seasoned and so informative when it comes to politics, yet you're so clearly and abundantly fucking wrong on this issue that I just feel it's necessity to prove to you that you're just wrong, and eventually you'll get there. You'll get there.
You know, kid, you're trying real well, but you can't out KOE the King of Extreme. So I do appreciate
I don't
it.
need the
but
extra E.
don't
I
worry.
already KO'd him.
I will smack you down when the time is right, and we got to
The
do
ref
this.
already
We have the
counted
debate.
10.
I will,
I'll give you an episode
beyond a
45.
shadow of a doubt,
Whoa, fellas,
Prove myself
fellas.
absolutely right yet today.
I will be here to referee as I am uneducated on the whole election process and how this should go
Me
or how
too,
it shouldn't
and I
go.
still know I'm right.
Oh, trust me, chicken. Don't worry. I will
no, no,
fully
no.
educate you with everything you need to know when that podcast comes. Trust me.
I appreciate that. We look forward to the education from Phil on making our elections better. Present your cases, fellas.
One paper
Outside of
ballot
that, make sure you let us know what you want to hear about, what you want to talk about. Politics can get annoying If you got fun topics or crazy stories or conspiracies you want us to dig into, send us messages. Let us know what you want to hear about. We'll be happy to dig into them because, it's fucking COVID. And what else are we going to do? So appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Phil, Tony, any last words? I'll give it to Tony and then we'll let Phil take it away before we sign off. So, Tony?
Yeah, very, very simply put, check in with us next week. We're going to do episode 45. Well, hell, fuck, this might as well have been episode 45 if we would have labeled it that. But episode 45 and 46 next Wednesday. We're going to get into the archaic voting system and why it's right or wrong.
Past our 1 year anniversary, if you want to go through that. But
well, exactly. And I think we just need to get caught back up on the episodics as these lives continue because it's kind of become a staple. But other than that, again, obviously, check us out on Facebook and YouTube because we do have a ghost hunt coming up on June 19th. That is GRIP. Check us out. It's going to be awesome regardless. But this Sunday specifically, like, share, subscribe, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Backlash is this Sunday. We will have all the results and all the review for that for you, where I will, of course, retain my 7th RWP championship. Phil, go ahead and tell us about your shit.
Well, thank you, Tony. Thank y'all. As the main star of the Dog and Chicken Show, it was really, I really appreciate y'all having me on. That was very nice. I'm what the fans come here for. What can I say? But as I'm known to say around here, folks, all that being said, this has been Big Bucket Entertainment's Dog and Chicken Show, Political Compass Edition. We have been through the twists and turns of the questions of our time, and we have arrived here with you, folks. Thank you for joining us on this ride. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe to KOE Nation on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe to Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast and to Grip Paranormal on YouTube. And please join us next week as we discuss why you should do everything you can to eliminate cheating in an election system. And that is why our current paper ballot system is clearly superior. And any inference to the otherwise is just simply just lies, communism, and propaganda. So, folks, I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE. Thank you for joining us. Please, love your life, love your liberty, love the things that you gotta do to keep them all. Like, share, subscribe, stay with us, join us in all the future endeavors. I am Phil KOE, signing off, handing it off. Chicken, take us away.
Thanks, Phil. As always. Hey, folks, it's a crazy world out there today. I appreciate the sentiment. This was a fun episode. We got into a lot of deep topics, a lot of deep conversations. There's more to come with all of this, of course. However, just need to make sure everybody understands. Take care of each other. Care for each other, love each other, appreciate each other. Every single person matters, no matter how big of a dick they are. If you don't believe what they believe, it doesn't matter. Their opinion matters. You got to think about it. You got to talk to them. You got to have an open discourse. Like it or not, that's how shit works. That's how you progress as a society. So appreciate you all for tuning in, having fun discourse, having a fun conversation with you. Let's have a toast to everybody. Appreciate you, as always. Love you. Bye. Good night, folks.
Peace.